Oh, Lord. Here we go. We're beginning another episode of Joel and Randy's Texas Tea. My name is Joel Tatum. Just to give you a little side note, Miss Randy couldn't be here. She's got some medical issues that she's taking care of. And Mr. Chris is on vacation in Lake Tahoe. So these queens will be back for another show sometime next week or in the future. In the meantime, I've got Miss Pinky to my left, right, side, whatever, sporting that purple hair.
Dip, baby,
ready for pride. Dip, baby, dip.
I'm ready for pride.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Mm-hmm. And I've got some wonderful guest hosts who are joining me today. I've got the infamous, that urban legend y'all have heard about for God knows how many episodes. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Miss David White.
I feel so honored to have my own show.
How are you doing, Miss White?
Good, girl.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I so appreciate that your mysterious presence managed to float all the way from Louisiana.
For good this time.
To join us.
Yes.
And to the other side of me, a longtime friend, someone I haven't seen in years, someone who has just decided that she was going to show up because I couldn't get nobody else.
Well, thank you.
I have Miss Marcus Giddens in the house. How you doing today, Marcus?
Hello.
I guess that answers that question.
How's everybody doing out there?
Mm-hmm. So let's start by asking, how is everybody doing? What is everybody up to now? We know that Miss White just moved back from Louisiana. Everybody give Miss White a hand.
Yeah.
No more Louisiana.
It's about time.
Goodness, no more
Thank
Louisiana.
God, I'm not doing that again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad she's back.
Mm-hmm.
I am back, Houston.
Mm-hmm. And it's been an arduous couple of days.
It's been rough.
It has been rough.
Least.
I had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to take a flight to Baton Rouge, which, by the way, was the most boring flight I've ever been on.
Which
It
is
really
good.
is.
It's really good.
It is really a boring
Boring's better
flight.
on an airplane.
It was. Now, I got to the airport, went through security. People kept asking, "Where's your bag? Where's your bag?" I don't have a bag. I'm just going to Louisiana. I'm going to be back in Houston in a few hours. I don't need a bag.
This is customer service.
Mm-hmm. I understand that, but good Lord, I told you once I don't have a bag. I'm just making a quick trip to Baton Rouge, and I'm coming right back.
Yeah, I text you guys with your happy trip.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back.
You didn't even. That wasn't even necessary because it wasn't even a trip. It was like taking the bus to Louisiana, but in the air. But in the air, we literally flew along the freeway. You could literally see the freeway from the airline when we were in the air. We weren't even that high up.
Yeah.
I thought the pilot was going to ask what exit to get off on.
It's a short flight. Yeah, I've taken it a number of times.
Everybody jump out.
And the pilot, by the way, I couldn't understand a word of English that was coming out of his mouth. It was some kind of Louisiana speak.
Cages.
And all I heard was Lafayette, look out the side of the window. And people on the flight like...
What did he say?
And there was traffic, and you had to swerve around.
I saw
it.
one woman just shut the window. I said, "Oh Lord, I guess she didn't like Lafayette." Then. I mean, she just shut her little thing and went right back to read.
They all do that.
What's there to do in Lafayette?
Nothing.
Nothing.
That's nothing to do in Louisiana.
Mm-mm.
Really?
Except gamble.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
If you're a gambler,
Mhm.
yeah.
Except gamble.
And there's New Orleans too, but New Orleans is disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotten that.
It's so gross.
It just smells like
Piss
hot
everywhere.
crotch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Hot crotch and vomit.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Hot, pissy underpants.
It's just
Oh.
gross. Yeah, it's just gross.
Mm-hmm. All that eerie, magical stuff you hear about Louisiana, no. It's just the smell of urine.
Fumes.
And vomit everywhere.
And it's,
Oh, how
and it's
sad.
really good in the summer when it's
Mhm.
nice and hot and baking.
Oh, my God.
You know, right now they actually have this, they have like these mosquito-like, they have these swarms of mosquito-like things in New
Really?
Orleans. They look like mosquitoes, but they don't bite at all. They're just annoying.
Like, I don't know. The whole time I was in,
I feel like those are really big gnats.
Like,
Mhm.
I was in Louisiana 2 years, and I never went to New Orleans to play.
Mhm.
And the one time I went to New Orleans, it was for work.
Maybe it was just a new breed.
Mm-mm. It sounded like a bunch of tourists to me. So I'm just like, no.
Cats.
Mm-hmm. Just a bunch of whiny tourists
That's
bitching
it.
about everything in New Orleans.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty gross.
Mm-hmm. And so thankfully enough, Miss White, the plan was we were going to load up the truck
After she got there.
After I got there,
Right.
we were going to load up the truck.
Y'all were going to load.
Yes, we were. Yes,
we were
I
going
mean,
to
put
Yes.
stuff in the
yes,
truck.
put stuff in the
Hold
truck.
on. It gets better. Hold on.
Yes, we were going to put
Oh,
stuff
no,
in
you
the
hire
truck.
people. That's what I do. I hire people.
Hold on a second.
Oh no! But luckily, the night before, because I'm like thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to wear something so I can get dirty in and blah 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 blah, and I'm not gonna look cute when I get to the airport, and I'm probably gonna look super homeless, but who cares? And Miss White called me the next night and said, "Girl, look, no, I paid $200, and people are gonna come in and load up the truck." So the truck
That's what I
will be
did.
loaded.
I went to Home Depot and picked up some guys. I said, I need you to pack up my house and move me.
So
here's
the
$40.
truck was loaded.
Exactly.
So I landed girl, it was a 35-minute flight. I thought it was going to be an hour, but it was only
No, you didn't
35
take that
It took you
minutes.
longer to get through security than it did to
Actually,
get to your
security
destination.
was a breeze. I went through security
Oh,
like
well, no
nothing.
bags.
Yeah.
Because I had no bag. So
Oh, they didn't frisk you?
oh, girl.
Oh, how
There was
sad.
nobody. It was
How
mostly
sad.
women, and I didn't want to
Oh,
be
okay,
friends.
I understand.
No.
They just scanned you with that little bar, huh?
No,
No, you
They-
went through
no,
the
you had to.
machine.
I had to walk through the machine.
Oh, they
Yeah, I had to walk through
Put
the
your hands
machine.
up.
Mm,
Yeah.
No, I didn't have to walk through that one.
you had to do
No,
that?
I just had to just walk straight through the other one.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's the pre-check one. That's the fast one.
You know, I had my sandals on with my socks, so I was already prepared to just slip out of my shoes.
You were going fashionista style.
You had what on?
Sandals? Yeah, I just had my little brown sandals on,
Oh, okay. Those
which
are
you
nice.
After
slip
all
right
these
out
years,
of.
That's something I haven't been able to fix yet.
Mhm.
We're still working on
You
it.
know what?
Mhm.
I just...
Look,
It is what it is.
for the airport to get through security, lace up boots, high heel, all these people wearing all these fancy shoes that have to struggle to get out of them. I'm like, no, just plop plop.
You look
Drop
at
it in
him
the
and say,
basket
"There's a
and
brother
go."
with some sandals on. Just let him go by."
You put the fancy shoes in the.
Bravo said, "Let him go by."
Oh
He's
man.
probably a rapper.
Oh goodness.
I had socks on. Don't get me wrong. I did have
Socks and
socks on.
sandals.
Socks with sandals. You don't wear socks with sandals.
Closed-toed sandals. I'm not wearing open-toed sandals with socks. What kind of queen do y'all think I am?
I don't answer that. Don't answer that. Don't answer that.
See, this is what happens, Charles, when you have people who've known you for years and years and years and don't
We
think that
have
you
been
could have
trying to
changed
change-
at least
Oh,
a little
Lord.
bit.
Yeah.
At least a little bit. Good Lord.
I remember we used to go out. We'd go to Joel's house, me and David would sit there texting each other. David, you think you can get him to wear that? And David looks at us and say, "No." He texted back, "No, girl, we can't do that."
Oh my
We
god.
can do that. We text me. I say,
Talking about it right in front of her. Didn't
Yeah,
know
we're
about it.
texting though, even at lunch.
And you have to remember that these queens had the fold-in phones for texting.
Hey, we're not
that
that
out.
old. We had the face phones. We
No,
don't know-
we had the folding phones, bitch.
we ain't that old. Okay.
Okay. I had a flip phone, and it was the
I had
best
a-
phone I've
We had a
had.
flip phone, and
I
let
had
me
a
tell you,
flip phone. I had
flip
several
phones
of them.
were the best phones ever. The battery lasted 9 days.
It was
Yeah,
a
right.
pain, but it was a pain in the ass.
It was a
text.
pain
You
in the
had to
ass
each
to
number
text.
3
Oh, my
times.
gosh.
Yeah, texting sucked.
Sorry, it sure did.
Until Nokia came out with that one that folded
Oh,
open
yeah.
with a full keyboard.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness.
Still got that one.
But back to the quick story. So I get there early. Sitting in the airport, I'm waiting. I'm expecting the big truck. Because I thought he was already done. But we had to go back and do some more stuff. Because he said he had to do some stuff at the house.
Can we pause just one moment?
Mm-hmm.
Were these guys nice looking? Did
We
you
have
do?
that. Oh, have we got that? Yeah.
Yeah, you already loaded.
You guys
Yeah,
do what we
I did
said we were
like-
going to
yeah.
do, and we have
Yeah, they
our
were
own
cute.
yard, and
Mhm.
just
They were cute.
you had tea. You
They were
brought them
cute.
They were
little
college boys, yeah.
and a little bitty in the.
No, they weren't.
Oh, I should have been
They
there.
weren't all that. This is Louisiana, dear.
Mm,
Guys don't
this
look
is
like that there.
Louisiana. Mm-mm. And some of these bitches need to keep the
They
clothes
sure don't.
on. So, no.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But, yeah.
Pay him to wear a Sherpa.
Here, wear my bed sheet.
Over here. You don't want to get sunburned. Put this on. Put this paper bag
Wrap
on
it
your
up. It's
head.
98-degree weather. Wrap it up.
Mhm. Oh, I don't want nobody to wear. I don't think in Louisiana, in the part of Louisiana that he was in, that you want somebody to wear a bed sheet.
Right.
That's true.
Mhm.
Especially not where I would live.
Because where he lived, the KKK was right down the road.
It was the home of your local.
So no bed sheets.
Yeah. It was
No
home
bed
of-
sheets.
It was home of your local.
Because if I'd have walked up and saw a bed sheet, I would have. I see you later, Miss White.
Like you're taking this white thing a little too literally.
Oh no. Mm-mm. And it was a 7.5 hour drive.
No, I looked at it. I followed it on Google. We only drove for 5.5 hours.
Oh, it seemed like 7.5
it was
hours.
5.5.
It was, oh God, it was so
So you guys
long.
were having good conversation then.
We solved
If it was
every
only
problem
5
in
and
the world.
felt like 7.
We solved every problem in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't even drinking.
Be ready, y'all.
What road trip did we go on that we brought little martini glasses and I brought a little flat with the liquor? We did a little shake. We had the ice and everything.
It was San Antonio, wasn't it?
I think that was San
Oh, it
Antonio.
was San Antonio.
Mm-hmm. That was San Antonio. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Stories.
Story.
And shake a martini. Here, guys, you want a martini? I think they were driving. Martini.
I do all the I do all the driving.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, you can drive now.
I'm like, what?
Well, no, you were in, for the audience, let me give you a brief history of Miss Marcus Giddens over here. This is the only queen that I ever met in my entire life that literally owned an entire car dealership.
In space,
Because every week that we saw her, she was in a different car. Every week.
I'm only up to 106.
There you go.
Every week. Every time.
That's a used car dealership, girl.
Yeah, that's a used car delership, by the way.
I mean,
That's like mid-level, though. Used car
Well,
dealership.
oh, no,
That's
it was.
up there.
I'm still there with CarMax almost. I mean,
Yeah.
Carvana got nothing on you, girl.
No, exactly.
That's why I did drive up. You say, David said, girl, it's your car now? I said, why I had to change?
Give it 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. I swear to God. One time this bitch told us that the car broke down on the
There
freeway.
we go. I'm never going to live this down.
The car broke down on the freeway.
And
She
she just
walked
walked
down
away.
the freeway, walked to another car dealership, bought another car, and walked off the lot. She left the other car on the freeway, and I said, well, what was wrong with the
I
car?
told that guy to come pick it up because it stopped.
You don't need AAA. You didn't buy a new car.
There you go.
I just gotten it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still under warranty.
Mhm.
So that's your excuse.
That happened to me, like, when I had just gotten my Mercedes-Benz, they have this thing where the engine cuts off to save gas. Well, that was not one of the features I was familiar with, and I, like, stopped at a light, and the engine cut off. I was like, oh, hell! Leave this in traffic.
I just want to just stop on you.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because the engine stops
Saves-
running
Yeah.
to save gas. It's like a thing that's in all cars now, but, like, it had been so long.
Stranded somewhere?
No, luckily when I took my foot off the brake, the engine kicked back on.
Mm-hmm.
But when it cut off, it freaked me out because I was like, "Oh no, this is brand new. I will leave this thing in traffic, exactly like you did that one on the freeway."
Mhm.
Like,
But that
okay.
one stopped. That one stopped.
But luckily, it started back up.
And the funny thing is, I think we were going out that night. So I was like, so you wait.
I'm like, don't worry, girl. I'm going to get another car.
So I'm like, wait. I'm sitting there waiting, and by the way, he's only 45 minutes late. I'm like, so you with him? So wait. So your car broke down on the freeway. You walked down the freeway,
No,
walked into
their
a car
broke
dealership,
down.
walked into
Their
another
car
car.
broke down.
Their car broke down. You
I
walked into
told
another.
myself, come pick up this car because it broke down on me, and I'm stranded.
Mm-hmm. You walked to another car dealership, bought a car, and then came pick me up, and we went out that night. And I'm like,
He's like, what happened to the other car you had? I said, don't worry about it.
Oh my goodness!
mm-mm. Every week, I swear to God, I feel like every week it was a different car.
Well, enjoy the abundance of the earth a little bit. Think I'm not going to enjoy it? That's I received.
Mm-hmm.
I had 5 Mercedes, 2 BMWs, 2 Jags. I had some Toyotas.
You had a VW at one point.
You had a VW at one point.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like a convertible. wasn't it?
You oh Lord, you had that Ford Ranger, the little short one.
Oh, you like
What-
that one?
Yes, that was the one where I accidentally left the door unlocked.
Oh my God, I remember.
And
that.
we were at his apartment, and there was somebody sitting in his
I
car,
went through myself and said, Joe, you forgot that. Joe, you know we ain't got
and I was pissed. So I opened the door, grabbed him by the arm, pulled him out of the car, and Marcus was like, "Bitch, you gonna get shot?" I'm like, "Well, he shouldn't have been in the car."
I was frightened for Joe. Like, oh my God, this is a good
What I
point.
would have paid to see that.
That's just exactly what happened.
Joe, I said, you
I
gotta
wasn't
knock my
even
door.
think. I just saw somebody sitting in his car,
Rummaging through my stuff.
rummaging through his stuff, and I was mad because one, I left the door unlocked.
Right?
Girl, it still does that.
Because y'all have electric locks. I don't feel like I should have to lock a
I
door.
have a used car, dear.
I drive a U-Haul. Remember the U-Haul?
Does not come with a fob.
Mm-hmm.
What part of the U-Haul?
What?
Berry Hill U-Haul? Or
N-
different U-Haul?
Oh, no, don't
No.
talk. No.
That was the truck we drove
Uh-uh.
from Louisiana, from Baton Rouge to here.
No.
Every time you got out of the car, I told him to lock the truck.
He never locks it.
Never locks it.
Mm-mm. No.
Nothing's changed.
Mm-hmm. No, if I recall, Berry Hill U-Haul was the time that I ended up in the back of a U-Haul
Oh
With-
my God.
with-
We don't
with-
want to talk about
Oh
that.
my Lord.
with
Move
someone
on.
from the bar, and we made that U-Haul rock back and
Move
forth.
on, girl. I don't like about your escapades.
I did in the back of a box truck once.
Mm-hmm. It's not fun.
It was warm.
Well, I didn't get into like a truck.
They were warm.
It wasn't like the truck; it was like the trailer,
Yeah.
and it kept doing this every time we moved
Oh,
around.
okay.
So it was not fun. I did not enjoy
So
that.
you guys were just racing back and forth.
The girl just took their cocktails. Ooh, look at it. On this way. Going back and forth.
Mm-hmm. But
But they
again,
were probably scared of an animal got stuck in there, so they weren't going to check it. They're like,
animals to me.
from the outside it might have, though. Like,
Mhm.
if there was some kind of dog or something trying to get in
yeah,
and out
but
of it.
Marcus already knew what was going on in the truck. That's why he had. That's why he had people out there. Because
And that
when
was
we
the
got out
Berry
of
Hill U-Haul.
because when we got out of the trailer, people were clapping. It was embarrassing. It was
That's good
embarrassing. Mm-hmm.
That's embarrassing, those convicts.
No, we're not going to tell. No convict story today.
We can do a whole episode.
We can do a whole.
Episode 72.
Don't worry, I'm making notes.
You are hard at work. over there.
Hashtag
Oh, you talk about the
convicts.
time that we winded up at somebody's wedding reception and we had to sing Whitney Houston.
Oh, that was lovely. I nearly ended up in a threesome. That would have been my first
That's right, that
threesome.
sandwich
Yes, that
kitchen.
would have been my first threesome, but I
He
turned
left
it
me singing
down.
Whitney Houston by myself while he was in the kitchen getting sandwich.
I was actually trying to get something to eat, and these two guys just came walking up and asked me if I wanted to be a sandwich.
Right.
And I didn't know what they were talking about at first, and then I went, oh.
Left
Oh,
me
no.
singing Whitney Houston.
Broken
No, no,
English
no.
and the word
Right.
sandwich. That's what
He
you'll
pictured
end
me
up with.
singing Whitney Houston.
Yeah. No.
Mm-mm. No, so this is
I didn't even want to go.
we're in the past episode of this show because we're gonna have like everybody to know that we past, present, and future being gay men of pride of all the stuff that we've done, and we have it's like three adults and the child at the table. And Miss
Say
Pinky.
hello, David. Child.
He's not a child.
I have a hit list that would probably rival.
Well, he
Most
has
of
his
y'all.
Probably.
well he has his little.
Although, maybe not
Mhm.
everyone.
Well, because it's like the adults are talking, and he's got his little coloring book right
I
there.
do
And
have
he's
my
doing his
coloring
little
book.
coloring.
Those for another show.
This is called ammunition.
Oh.
We get a little awkward. You throw a little shade and be like, "So tell me the story about the wedding Whitneys again."
Very good. That's smart. I'm just saying.
He's good. Yes. Ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Material, as we call it in radio.
Because I feel like someday if this show actually does do well, the contract talks are going to come up.
Oh my god! Can you imagine the discussions? I think I'm probably gonna have to. Me and Randy are gonna have the longest talks with the lawyers about like the shit that comes out of our mouths.
And I don't want to talk about Randy too much because it's Randy, but she has let out more than I have on these episodes.
I remember that time at your birthday party.
Oh no,
Well, I don't think I know.
Oh, I don't.
Get the hand out.
I don't think I know. That's a goodness gracious.
Were you there? Birthday. Randy was there, and Joel's birthday party, and Michael Lucius was there.
No, Randy wasn't there.
Of course, he was there.
Are you talking about my 25th when Miss Martha Wash was at?
Guava.
No, she was at Heaven,
Oh.
and they had.
Yeah, then.
Yes,
Yeah.
they had
night,
arranged
girl.
for Martha Wash to sing "Happy Birthday" to me, but I was busy at Mining Company, with the
You
gentleman.
wasn't even at the club.
I wasn't even inside. She's singing "Happy Birthday" to me, and I'm at I'm
He was
at.
at the meat market, ladies and gentlemen. He was at the meat market.
Well, what had happened was
He wanted
it was
peanuts.
too crowded, and I was starting to have an anxiety attack, and I'm like, I need to get out of here to get some air. And then I'm like, I'll just go across the street, have a quick drink
Well,
at
we
mine,
sang
and
happy birthday to the person that wasn't at the
And
Yeah.
so you just needed some space. So
I
there
just
wasn't
needed some
anybody
space.
in your space when you were at the mining company.
Oh, there were plenty of people in his place.
He was just there to get a quick slurp. Remember?
just a quick cocktail.
A quick slurp.
And then I was going to run back across the street.
Among other things.
I was going to run back across the street. And then I walk in and they're like, I see 4 of my friends going, bitch, where were you? Martha Wash saying happy birthday to you, and you weren't even here. And I'm like, I had to go outside. It was too crowded in here. And
I feel
I
like
just,
he was outside.
I wasn't there for this event.
No, that
so
was-
I missed
that was-
this one.
that was long. That was way before we met.
Not that
Yes,
long.
it was.
Though. Not that long.
Mm-mm.
We've known each
If
other
you were
for
25.
David was always working.
No. I was working in Greenspoint. And we were both working at
Oh,
Greenspoint.
So you weren't 25 then.
No,
You'd been
I
younger
wasn't
than that.
25. I was,
You'd been younger than that.
yeah, I was 23, 24.
God,
Yeah.
we that
Yes.
young?
Mhm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And this poor child right here wasn't even born.
Mm-mm.
No.
Nothing, you guys.
Mm-mm.
Nothing.
Yeah,
She
move
was-
on.
Maybe
Move
just.
on.
She was just a pair of heels and her father's sack. So it wasn't
Right?
even a
Just a little
thought.
sperm with like one high heel on.
She's like, I'm going to get there.
Learning how to
Get there.
sissy my swim.
Mm-hmm.
Practice it. You practice it.
But this is the 50th anniversary of Pride, which I thought, we're all in that age group. Some of us more than others.
Do you guys remember the time when they were?
Oh, look at him.
Wow.
Instantly changed.
And here's this people getting their pin ready.
Instantly
Okay.
changed the conversation. The moment
Whenever he starts to
the
sing,
moment that I
you
said we
guys
were all in
remember.
that age group, and he went, so let me tell you this story.
To go on and
So
on
I,
about this.
I thought we should tell some little interesting tales of our youth and pride and some of the wild and crazy things that might have happened during that time. I recall,
It's like a game of I've never.
I recall,
Truth or dare.
Uh-oh.
I recall that the first time that I went to Pride, and this is right around the time I met Miss White, and here I see this skinny queen
Oh, those
in
were
a
the
skirt
days. God,
and
those
her
were the days.
It
rollerblades,
was the kilt.
and
wasn't it?
it was a kilt.
Yeah.
And rollerblades blowing in the wind.
Okay.
Bitch ain't wearing a
Okay,
lick.
okay, now a little history there. Yeah, there was no underwear underneath. That was back. First of all, there was a couple of things going on. There was this time back when guys in skirts was a thing. We would wear skirts and no underwear, of course.
Twirled
Yeah.
around.
Yes, and we did twirl around a lot, and we didn't wear shirts. And that particular year, I was skating. I was in the Pride Committee. It was my first year of the Pride Committee, and I was skating with a skate club back then. It was called Lambda Skate Club. And at the time, I was skating with a skate club, so I skated with a skate club in my skirt. And this guy comes up behind me trying to lift my skirt the whole time. And of course, I'm trying to keep it pushed down, and I'm wearing no shirt and everything. Like, stupid pervert. God. Stupid pervert. But that was the first time I was in. Yeah, that was the first time I was at the parade. I was in the Pride Committee for, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years back then. But that was the first year I skated with the skate club. So that was fun.
That was fun, and that was the first, and that was one of the first moments that I'd met him, and that was the first time I'd seen him skating down, and he no shirt on, got his little kilt, and you can see all the business because it's just everything's just blown in the wind. Literally, everything's just blown in the wind.
that was like the precursor to like the Club Kids, you know, like they were like right after that.
I think that's when it was becoming more acceptable. They were kind of like paving the way. It was already there.
I think it was a fad. It was a fad.
It was definitely a
2 years
fad.
later, the guys in skirts and the whole party boys and all.
Yeah,
that
that was over with 2
was
years
definitely
later,
a
but
fad.
it was a cute little fad at
Now,
the time.
but now people do it in the parades now, and it's just like
Mhm.
it's no big deal. But back then it was kind of but now it's
I
kind of
don't see very many of them in skirts, though. I don't think.
Oh, it was back in the day.
yeah.
I don't see any of them with barely any clothes on. The last few prides I went through. Now let me tell you something.
That's 'cause
I
it's hot.
I think it's cute.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's cute when the youngins, and when I say the youngins, I mean under 25, are out there and look Hello Kitty panties and nothing else. And let me tell you something. To some of y'all queens out there, I don't understand how you cannot fill out Hello Kitty panties. I really don't understand how you can't do that, especially in the front.
Well, I fill them out, but I was just saying, if I'm out there,
But there were a couple of queens. There were a couple of queens that I do that I'm like, girl, where's it at? Did you tuck it? Why did you tuck it? You're wearing Hello Kitty.
It would be visible out the other end.
Yeah,
hopefully.
it would be visible, but
If you're good. If you've got anything to hide up front,
Well, I don't know.
wearing nothing but your Hello Kitty
Yeah,
underwear.
if you're wearing duct tape down there, you know, duct tape. You can forget.
They didn't gave up and they gave in.
Duct tape fixes everything. Right, Joel? How's it go? Duct tape everything.
fixes everything. It can even change genders if it wants to. That's how good duct tape is. Oh no! In drag, girl, you know, in drag, they take the duct tape while they're wearing something to tuck it back.
Yeah, but how do you get the duct tape off?
It's attached to like a pantyhose.
Right.
It's just attached to pantyhose or yeah.
It's just a.
Yeah, I was
it's
gonna
just a
ask. That
hide
was
thing.
that was my big question. We're gonna have that specialist on a couple episodes from now, and that was my big question. I was like, because the science
how do you
behind the
hide
tuck is something that is
I was wondering if
mystified me.
duct tape the tuck or, duct tape.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's actually
That's painful.
not on it.
Imagine.
Now,
That's a real man.
Yeah.
They are wearing
Yeah.
they are wearing pantyhose or some kind of something there, some special padding there, and they take the duct tape from here all the way to the back and just pull it back.
Girl, I see Naomi Sims back in the day when she kicked her heels up, and I'd be like, "Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's
Yeah.
it at?"
Because it looks just like a perineum.
Yeah,
I guess.
it does. It's
Because they wear
amazing.
pantyhose over that too.
And they
Yeah.
and it wasn't uncommon for the drag queens, at least back then, to wear two, sometimes three pairs of hose.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Some area or whatever.
Now they have special panties and that kind of thing that you can wear so you can be able to tuck it back.
Okay, those queens have big balls.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, where would you hide all the balls? Can't exactly push them up.
It wouldn't be death dropping, that's for sure.
Especially if you do a kick, everything gonna fall out.
And that's why duct tape is a miracle thing. It's just the most
fixes
miraculous.
everything.
It can fix a pipe
I seen
in
you
so
do
many
cool
different
stuff.
ways.
Right? It can fix your pipe.
Yeah, it can fix your pipe and ball bearings in so many wonderful ways. It's ridiculous.
There you go.
But I can let me quick pride. Miss Marcus, who was unsure of herself at the time, she was an artist. She was
Doesn't
an
make me gay.
artist who thought she was heterosexual. An artist who thought she was
Not laugh.
I'll say,
Who
I'll
thought
find a
she-
picture of us.
yes, who thought she was heterosexual, and I was friends with a certain person at the time. And he said, I have seen Marcus at the bars. And I said, well, he is an artist. So he wants to explore.
That's
He wants to
code.
explore the gay scene for his art. That is what he told me, and that's what I'm going to go with. Even though everybody knew he was good.
It makes the revolving door in your bedroom an easy thing to cover up to just say, like, no, I'm a painter.
If you knew Marcus back then, you didn't even know. You wouldn't have known if he would slept with anybody or not. It was all about that walk. He had ass and a walk. He confused a lot of men back then. He really did.
Swish.
This was a man I was in the car with him when one of his cars broke down, and he was leaning over the
There
car
we go.
trying to figure out what was going on, which this bitch didn't know what he was doing. And 3 cars stopped because all they saw was his ass. That's all they saw was his ass. And they got it, and as soon as he stood up, they took off.
That happens.
Except for one who actually was helpful and just told Marcus that he just needed to get a new spark plug. And so we walked down and got a new spark plug, and we were back on the road.
Bam.
And I said, Marcus, why didn't you get his phone number? And he's like, that bitch is 50 years old. I'm not doing that.
God.
Ironically enough.
Here we sit
Here we sit.
on a night not unlike.
Back down memory lane.
Check this out. This
Now,
is-
remember, we're a podcast, so, pictures.
that'll do well. Well,
You describe the picture.
it's a picture of me and you, and you're wearing pajama bottoms at Pride that year.
Oh, was it a pajama party?
No, it
Oh.
wasn't. It's not really doing very good. I mean, the picture is not it's not coming up the way I want it to. But that's me right there, and that's Joel on the right. He's wearing pajama bottoms.
I decided to. I was going through phases. So many
Yeah, you
phases.
can't really.
So many.
It's kind of hard to
phases.
tell, but
But I was wearing pajama bottoms. I had a high top fade.
yeah, you can't really tell. That's
Mhm.
you can't really tell it, but yeah, it's like, girl, you're not wearing pajama bottoms to
I
Pride.
did.
Oh, you
She
had a
wore
little
pajama
arm
bottoms.
back
Yes.
then. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get much sun, but
Neither one of us did, actually. Yeah,
it's very pale.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of us did.
I'm gonna do that mattress out though.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Mattress out of the open balcony.
Right? That poor little boy laying on it.
Mm-hmm.
He was scared as a motherfucker.
Mm-mm. I felt like if everybody was going to be skimpy, I was going to be I put on my pajama bottoms and a tank top. I was
Yeah.
having a good time.
You were gonna
People
show
were
off that
taking pictures.
body.
That was
Yeah.
that was probably. And we went to what South Beach by then. After that,
Mm-hmm.
and I took my shirt off. We were dancing on the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Were you?
Oh, we were all just on speakers.
And I went and I asked Charlie Armstrong if I could take pictures.
Now they're like,
I like how Charles. I like how Charles.
Exactly.
We could do that, baby.
Yeah, we were just on our own back then.
now
Yeah.
they're like sitting on it and like roll and like.
I think we were just speakers at
Exactly.
the rip court. No, rip court.
Lights off.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that we had gone to South Beach, and I'd asked Charlie Armstrong himself, "Can we take pictures?" He's like, "No." He's like, "I go, please." Oh, it's Pride. Go ahead. So I took all these pictures of us, we're like dancing on top of the boxes and everything.
Goodness.
Mm-hmm.
The
God,
mining company we danced on the Sunday box.
no, I never did that. I don't know.
Me and Joe did that.
I don't think we've ever danced locally in Houston.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, girls, that was Pride Past. We're gonna take a little bit of a break. We're gonna talk about the present. What's going on? How our world has changed. How we have changed. What we're looking forward to. So let's all take a break, and we will be back in just a few minutes. Woohoo! Take us out, Pinky.
Lower insurance rates. we'll be back, y'all.
Welcome back to episode 71. We're about to talk about how things have changed. Joe, you want to take us off?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So we talked about the past a little bit. We had a good time. We had a really good time talking about some of the things. I know that Miss Pinky did because she's writing it all down for black
ammunition there. You better watch out. You better watch out. She got.
I don't think she calls it blackmail. I think she calls it the art of persuasion.
Persuasion. Persuasion's a good word for it.
That's good.
The art of persuasion.
Incentive.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about how you word it.
Mm-hmm. So now that those days are gone, and now that we are a bit older, and times have changed, times have whizzed by, and for
Sometimes it feels like it.
sometimes
it don't.
sometimes it feels like it. The time has gone by, and now we're a little older, and we're very much different than we were back then. A lot of us at this table are very much different than we were back then. So now let's get into what the differences are now. And the fact that with new labels, should I say labels? New identities, new
probably, maybe.
new identities.
Labeling is, has a
That's so 50
general,
years ago.
negative connotation. But it's like it is. There are labels. It's not, and it's really more about
New name.
self-applied labels versus societally applied labels.
So let's go around the table. I think this will be interesting. Let's go around the table. I'm going to start with Miss Pinky. What do you consider yourself now?
As far as like spectrum for LGBT,
Yes.
Where in the alphabet are you?
C. No.
Cunt?
For the
Confused?
there are a lot of C words that actually apply there. Cocksucker.
There you go.
We could do like a whole gay alphabet. That'd be a fun episode. No, I would consider myself a gay man. I would say that while I didn't become gay. I was kind of late to the whole sexual orientation race. I wasn't a super horny teenager. I had a girlfriend for a very, extended period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was mostly because her and I hit common ground, and we were kind of the other side of each other's coin,
Mm-hmm.
versus we were horny teenagers, and that was where you were supposed to put it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So what you did, what you were supposed to do, according to society.
No, it wasn't even that. We just her and I just fit.
Mm-hmm.
We met playing a game of spin the bottle in Charlotte Wright's basement.
I think someone had asked me if you were gay but gender queer or gender fluid.
I think the most interesting one there is queer, because
Mm-hmm.
all of these things, gay, lesbian, bi, trans, all fit under the umbrella of queer.
Mm-hmm.
Because queer, in and of itself, it has a totally separate definition
Mm-hmm.
from any sexual orientation in general. It's just something that's odd. It's an oddity.
Well, for us at the table, queer was a negative connotation for us when we were. It was very,
Right.
very.
It was very
Flamboyant.
offensive. No,
It was very
offensive.
offensive.
Right, because you were a Nancy boy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a sissy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think there's bits of it that you can enjoy from all of it. I think that if I had to be lumped in, gay is the best way to describe that. Homosexual, I've never, I'm a gold star, so the only one I've made contact was on my way out. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I recall, and I'm probably going to get the name wrong. So if I get the name wrong, folks, go to our Facebook page, Joel and Randy's Texas Tea. Look for us on Twitter, The Joel and Randy Show on Twitter, and as well as Instagram. Andrew Yang, who is a member of a YouTube group, who they do all these videos where they challenge each other to different kind of stunts and all this other stuff, recently came out
This
as
is the Try Guys, isn't it?
yes, the Try Guys.
Oh,
yes.
okay, so they
Yeah,
try
yeah.
on like
Yes.
ladies' lingerie.
Yes.
that was
And
the
shit
one.
like that. They're
Yeah.
great.
Recently
That
came
wasn't
out.
obvious to anybody.
Well, I mean, the man is of all the Try Guys, I went, he's gay. I mean, he's handsome. He had that hair,
Both sides do that.
Yeah.
He has the most amazing hair I've ever seen. But I think he identifies not only as gay, I think he identifies as well as genderqueer.
Right.
And that got me to thinking, oh wait, so we have more than one label other than just being gay.
There were a
Right,
whole
yeah.
bunch of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have one.
We have one.
Which
we
is
have
great.
one.
I think that's really great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some people get frustrated about it. Some people think, "Oh gosh, you guys don't already have enough of these," and it's like, well, as these things evolve, it's like that's the one we wanted, and people let us have it. Why of all the people would we then stifle somebody else from having the label that they want? And if we're the people who are able to bring them under our wing and our protection and be a society of outcasts, every number that we can acquire in that makes our parade bigger, makes us a bigger foe to take on, makes us more formidable.
So, the funny thing is that I'll get back to that in a second.
Right.
The thing is that what makes it interesting is I'm going to use the Kinsey scale. And the Kinsey scale is something that's been used for the last 30 or 40 years.
Although I would consider it quite
Where it went from 100% heterosexual on one side, 100% gay on the other side, and then you have everything in between, bisexual in the middle.
Right, it's like
in the
the
middle. But from bisexual to gay, you had everything else before you got to gay.
Right.
And I think that, I don't know if it's, I would like to say updated. I don't like to say outmoded, because I think at the time,
they're adding on to each label.
With the spectrum.
yeah, it's become more of a, it's
Right.
become a bit more of a spectrum. For me, I think I completely identify as a gay man, 100%. And I think that I tried to look at I thought about, do I fit the other labels? And I think that gay is the only label that I really fit. I think that I am just a gay, and I hate to say this, it feels ordinary. And I didn't think that a day would come where just being gay would
Congratulations.
feel ordinary.
You're human.
I know.
I mean,
Congratulations. And then
It's in order.
there's the asterisk of, yay, I didn't want to be normal. I thought being
am
gay.
What
normal.
exactly is normal?
I know. And see, the whole thing is that
I think just need to be.
is being ordinary, meaning now that we're just
I don't think
normal?
there's a such thing.
But like, it's ordinary, like for you,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really just regular
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
you. It's not normal. It's still not normal to a lot of other, social groups. They don't think it's normal.
Because
You're still odd
yeah.
to those things. You're still a sodomite, all of these other anythings. But like the thing is, like if it's become something that's stagnant for you, like, are you happy?
Oh, no, I'm 100%. It's
Then
stagnant. Oh, no.
Well, then,
Oh, no.
Then
No.
again, why could you
Then
why
congratulations,
you
you've
why do you have
landed.
a label? Why not just be?
Mm-hmm.
You are who you are.
You're Joel.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
Exactly.
Why it's Joel.
Yeah.
that art I brought you the first day I was
So why
here.
must you have a label to identify
Because
Joel?
I think, and Marcus, I think you and I had this conversation. The fact of the matter is that for the longest time, gay had a shame mode attached to that I had to deal with. Now, this is a personal journey that I had to deal with. And once I realized that, wait, why am I? That's
Right.
Why
Being
am I
gay doesn't
doing
make you
this?
any
This-
less of a man.
It
Right.
doesn't make me any less of a man. Do you know how many arguments I have to have with heterosexual men who are like, well, you're a girl. First of all, if I'm a girl, thank you for that, because women are the most powerful beings on the planet.
Whoever has
thank
the
you for
pussy has
calling
the
me
power.
a powerful being.
Ryan is one of the first powers.
Yes.
First, second powers.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for calling me a powerful being, but I'm not. I still have the necessary equipment to be considered a man. So I'm good.
More than considered, classified.
So if you're,
As a
yeah,
I am. Man.
yeah, exactly. So if
the
you,
subject is not up for
and
debate.
I've told heterosexual men this: if a vagina is the thing that makes you a man, then you have the wrong idea of what a man is. Because if that's too much power for a woman to be
I think
having.
you said that wrong.
No, I think I said it right. How many times have I heard men tell me that, oh, you're not a real man unless you had a woman?
Oh. Okay.
Oh,
Oh.
no.
I see. Okay.
So
Have,
basically,
like,
you put
Right.
the responsibility
Getting the
of you
okay.
being a man is
Right.
in a woman's.
What
Right.
about all those gay
Bing.
men who have had women? What are they?
Yeah, exactly. So how is that her responsibility for you to be
Right.
a man? Being
I
a
think
man is what you were to begin with.
right.
The fact that you, I just, yeah, you connect
not
your
just-
manhood to her vagina.
Why not just be you?
Oh
You
no,
have a
I'm.
label. Just I am who I am.
Mhm.
I like what I like.
Mhm.
Point blank to the point.
Mhm.
Right.
Why complicate?
I don't know what this phase where I was offended when people thought I was straight.
Mhm.
Like, how dare you assume I'm
Oh,
straight?
look at me all the time.
How dare you assume that I'm straight?
Actually, I went through a phase where I actually kind of liked it. I liked the idea that people thought I was straight, and I'm like, why do I like that?
Because
That's
you're
weird.
invisible.
I don't like that.
The,
'Cause you
the nail that
accepted
sticks.
them on both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
Accepted them on
the nail
them
that
and
gets
accepted
sticks
them
out
on
gets
them.
hammered.
Mm-hmm.
I
Wisely
So-
said.
mean, so
Wisely
to
said.
not
Mhm.
stick out is is
That means
I
you
mean,
can
and I've
go
been
in-
there.
You can go on either ground. You can go this way or that.
Well, I look at it the same way that I look at it as being a black man. I have been in situations where I probably shouldn't have been in those situations. hence, Marcus and I's a little adventure in Pasadena when I went to buy furniture. We stopped at a bar in Pasadena, and yes,
How convenient.
and yes, we got looks. And then the lady at the bar said, "Hey, are you
Oh,
sure?"
Wait a minute, I remember
Yeah,
that.
are you sure you know where you're at? And I'm like, yeah, do you have beer here? And she goes, yes, then I know where I'm at.
right.
And
I think it's so crazy.
45 minutes later, we were all sitting around talking, having a good time, and that was it. That's how I've always fit into so many different situations because I didn't, if you looked at me as being a black man, that's your business.
Right, versus just a man.
If I'm coming into your establishment to have a beer
Plop
and,
down money.
and plop down money, then that should not be a thing.
Turning away patronage is a good way
exactly.
to go out of business.
Mm-hmm. So the thing of it is that was my journey, and I enjoyed that journey as a black man, and I enjoy that journey more as a gay man because I get to share who I am with people who might be ignorant about that fact, and when they see that gay is ordinary and regular and
that's what changes it for a lot of people, like turning around and like us coming out and like people understanding, like everyone in one of those crowds holding one of those signs picketing knows someone. Whether they know that they do or not, they know at least one.
Actually, and probably are and don't want to be, and really are.
And they're there because mom wants them to be there, or dad wants them to be there, or they're angry or whatever. And it takes those people, and that's why we come out and we show out, so that they know, like, hey, you're not like walking into a stoning anymore. We welcome, with love. I mean, you might get your ass grabbed and. You'll get groped, but but those things come from a place of love. But I mean, us coming out and showing out and doing those things is what tell those people that they've got a home, they've got somewhere to come. They're not by themselves.
So, David, why don't you tell us who you are now?
No, not me, Marcus.
There you go, right on planet. Okay, David, tell us who you are.
Sorry, that was Marcus is a slut, not me.
So, Miss White, tell us who you are now.
Okay.
In your place where you are now.
Well, on the LGBTQIA alphabet that extends some 20 some odd letters or whatever, I actually identify as two of those letters. I identify as gay and asexual. I identify gay first because that's kind of who I am. I'm attracted to men, which on the asexual spectrum makes me a homoromantic type person, and that's kind of where I'm at. And the gay thing, I've known that since I was like 16, 17 years. Well, my grandmother tells stories, maybe, but I came out when I was 17, and then the asexual
I knew when I was 6. Oh, I knew early. I didn't know what it was called.
Right.
I knew I saw a penis the first time, and I went, I like that.
I was probably like 18 or 19. That's super late.
I didn't really come out as asexual until much, much later in my life, which was, 9, 8, 7 years ago? I don't even
7 or 8 years ago. And let me tell this quick story from my point of view. When David White told me this, there was an expectation that I would be upset or angry or that kind of thing. Now, let me tell you something. I love David White with all my heart and soul. And when he told me that he was asexual, I went, and okay, so what's the problem here?
To be fair, Joel was the first person that I told, too. So, testament of our friendship.
But there was so much fear from him, which I didn't understand that.
Yeah, a lot of that fear too was from me because I didn't know. I don't even know how I stumbled across. I knew there was something in the back of my head was, I don't want to say it wasn't right, but it wasn't what I was programmed to do or be like or whatever. And I don't want to make this conversation about me, but so I'll just make this as quick as I can. But
this conversation is about you.
No, it's not about me.
There's time for all of it.
I never knew. I remember with this period, and I was kind of depressed, and I was like, I just don't feel normal, whatever normal is, And I hear all my friends talking about having sex and all this, and I'm just like, not really interested in it, I'm just kind of, I went through a phase of my life when I was much, much younger, the sober phase, when I had sex when I was sober, but I never enjoyed it, and it was always for the other person. And I had a ton of sex when I was drunk or fucked up or on drugs and everything like this, and that was probably 98% of my sex was when I was that way, and now today I'm just kind of like, I just don't. It's just not for me. That's all it boils down to. I'm still, I still consider myself gay first, and then asexual second. But again, if you look at the spectrum, it's the asexual spectrum. It's homoromantic, biromantic, heteromantic, whatever. I'm very much homoromantic. Asexual, I think it's funny. Joel and I talked. We were talking about. He alluded to it earlier about the story about the parking lot. I stayed at a.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh beforehand.
I don't want to say how do I say this. It was a place that I probably should not have stayed. Let's put it that way, because it was very. It's $45 a night. Okay, what does that tell you?
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, don't use bookings.com.
Yeah,
Do not use
Do not
bookings.com.
use booking.com. This was not a bargain. But we got there, and I was the idea was I was going to stay there for a little while because I'm waiting for my house. I have a house in Jersey Village, so I'm waiting for the renter to get out. So I'm going to be in a this kind of situation for a little while. So the idea was I was going to be there for a few weeks, and my card key didn't open the door. And so instead of strolling through the hotel, this was literally the last room in the hotel. I just walked out and walked to the front. And this truck that's got pools down the side just slows down beside me, just looking at me. And I'm like, oh my God, he wants drugs. He's going to kill me. And I was trying to walk real fast. And Joel goes, that ain't what he wanted, girl. And I was like, what? He goes, think about it. And I was like, oh my God, that's what he wanted. And my programming is like, because I am asexual, that my program doesn't think like that, And we were talking about bombshells. We were going to eat last night, and he goes, "Well, I was thinking about bombshells, but I don't want to see girls run around in half naked boobies showing or whatever." And I was like, What was that? That's what that. I was like, didn't even make a connection. So I went online today, and sure enough, that's exactly what it was. My brain is wired differently. I mean, I remember this one time we were downtown for whatever the reason. This guy was crossing the street, and he was an attractive guy. And Joel goes, "Oh, girl, look at him. He's hot." I go, "Love that shirt he's wearing." it just didn't. I mean, he was good looking, but the shirt that he was wearing. And Joel's like, "David." Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, he's cute.
So you complimented his shirt.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Right,
Joel
okay.
thinks he's hot, and I'm like, nice shirt. It's weird. It's hard to explain. You just don't. I mean,
I think I can explain it in a way that you and I saw hot in a different way.
Right.
I saw it from a sexual point of view. You saw it from a romantic.
I like to look
view.
at it sort of like this, like that guy's really cute, but I don't think of it as one way. I just want to put him up on the mantle on the fireplace and just look at him. Mm-hmm. You can take all your clothes off if you want to. I just want to look at you. It's just like
Are you a taxidermist? That's going to be a no, y'all. No need to fear there.
No need to fear. You're not going to be stuffed and mounted unless you want to come to my house and you can be stuffed.
And then you get stuffed.
But you're not going to be mounted.
Right.
But stuffed at Joel's, go hang out at David's.
But that's not to say I didn't have sex. I did have sex, and I had a whole lot of sex.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't regret any bit of it either.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's not for me. And I'm glad for anybody. And I'm not one of these anti-sex at all. If you want to have girl, how much sex you want?
Well, right. And asexuality, and people translate it quickly, and that's where people jump on people's backs. It's not anti anything. It's asexual. So, like, if you're an educated person, you know that adding the prefix a to something just means that it's not, it's not there. It's not. Anti is something that's totally different. You're working against it. You have an agenda going the other direction. Whereas asexual means you just stand at a point where it is null and void.
Right. And I've had friends, come back and tell me all their sexual escapades, and I sit there, I listen to them. I don't throw up or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bother me. It's just something that I choose.
Mm-hmm. It's not something you pursue. It's not on your agenda.
It's just not something that I pursue. It's just not.
So I want to throw a quick round of questions, David, that are terrible, ignorant questions that you would probably hear if you told someone you were asexual.
Okay.
So, question 1. Maybe the dick's not good enough and you just haven't gotten any good dick.
I've heard a variation of that. You haven't found the right man, and I've heard that since I first came out. So
it's that about the right woman,
but the right woman, exactly. You just haven't found the right woman, and now you haven't found the right man. Well, now which is it?
Right, exactly. Which is it? Can y'all pick one?
I think I've found lots of the right man. I just didn't really want to have. I mean, and I don't want to say I never had sex. I've had a ton of it. It's just. I went through my sober phase, and I didn't enjoy it. It was always me making sure that he was happy, which that's not... I mean, if that's what you enjoy, that's fine, but there should be some pleasure in it, and there was not a whole lot of pleasure for me in that.
Universally, yeah. It works both directions.
And then when I was fucked up around drugs, it was sex was sex. I didn't really know. But since I've kind of gotten out of the drugs for many years now, many years now, and I don't really go to the clubs because I'm older than that age group for the most part, so... It was about, 7 or 8 years ago, I guess. I can't even remember. But I was just like, Joel, I'll tell you something. We were at Bohem.
We're at Bohem.
Yeah.
Fabulous place, by the way.
Oh
if
my
you're
God,
in Houston,
I
go to
love
The
Bohem.
fries.
Yes, the Vietnamese
Vietnamese
fries
fries are
are
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We're not.
Well,
We're not
you
getting
may
paid
well.
for this, but
Not
if
a
you,
sponsor.
we're not. They're not a sponsor. But if
they
we
should
tell
be.
you we love a place, we really love that place. You should go.
We love that place.
We
And
love
we
that
are not
place.
easy to impress.
Yes, we are not easy to impress at this table. We love Bohem.
Yes.
You know what I want to do? I would like to go to drag brunch there. I've never been to drag brunch there.
I've never been.
Drag
They have
brunch,
once a month at the end of the month, I think.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I would love to go
Yeah,
do
I
that.
would love to do that.
I'm going to start getting a press pass and get into these things.
I think we should all take a day off
Those three
on
little
Sunday
pigs, pizza,
and
oh my
just go
God.
to drag brunch. We should do that. But Dave, I think one of the most powerful things was the fact that, and I sorry, David, I still tear up about this, is the fact that you were so afraid to tell me this, and I don't understand why you were so afraid. What did you think I was? And I'm not asking you that question now because we're at a different place now.
Right.
But I just didn't understand at the time why you would think that I would just like blow up and go, oh, that's gross, or you just not found the right man.
I don't think it could have been just about anybody. If I had a piggy back then, if I told her that, hey, this is the way it is, I'd been just as nervous then. It would have been.
I think not knowing is part of that.
Remember back to when you first came out, and the first person you told, and how scared you were. I just did it twice. I did it when I came out as gay, then I did it when I came out as asexual.
Right.
I mean, I could have been talking to anybody and been just about as nervous as it could be. Think about when you came out. It's hard.
Right, and you have
And
no
your heart starts beating-
clue.
Right, exactly. How
Because
they're
there's
gonna
nothing you can
accept
change
it.
about yourself, and
Right.
it's out there.
And
Once
how
it's
are they
out,
going to accept it?
it's out. If they choose to tell people, they choose to tell people, but there is this something about you that you cannot change that now is out in the universe and out of your control as to how many people have access to that information. I mean, and I think it's unnerving in total because it is something that you absolutely can't change about yourself.
Yeah.
That you have no control over. You've given somebody else the control of like whether everyone in the universe knows about it or only the two of you know about it.
Right.
I mean, and I guess that's something that I'll piggyback on that point that you guys made. And like, if somebody comes out to you, like one, it means that you are stupid, crazy, fucking important in their life.
Yeah.
And understand when somebody comes to you with something like that, they're trusting you beyond like anything, beyond themselves, beyond anybody else they've ever trusted with anything. They're literally feel like they're putting their lives in your hands. So like, if you don't know what to say, say that. Say I don't know what to say, and don't say anything else until you do know what to say.
Oh my God, I'm going to produce your own podcast. I swear to God.
But like,
I swear to God, I
because
feel like I'm going to cry.
there's
right
so
now.
many things that could go awry in that, and like you think about like the tensions run high on both sides because then you're this person and you have this information now and you have no fucking
what do you do
clue.
with
You've
it?
never experienced this anymore. You have no answers for this person. They've gone into this completely foreign territory for you, and like just tell them that you don't know what to say. And let it be at that, because then at least they know that you don't mean them any harm. They know that you're not upset. They know that you know where they're coming from. I mean, and express that and say, but be honest with them and just say, I'm super thankful and flattered that you came to me with this.
Which I was, by the way. I'm shouting because I'm in the kitchen and I'm making myself another cocktail. But I was very flattered when David came to
Exactly.
Which, by the way, that's not even flattered. He's my best friend.
Exactly. I
I
mean,
remember when Joel told me, like, okay, what's the big deal?
exactly.
I'm like, okay. When Joel told me, well, I'm going to tell you something about David. Okay. Well, David's like, asexual, like, he's a woman for me.
Right? Thank goodness David stopped hugging them all.
I get everything you don't want.
Right?
I had my days. I'm not gonna lie, but I wouldn't change them either. They are what they are. I would say that all that took all that to make me who I am now. And
Exactly. I mean, it's a progression. We all stack. We build a foundation, and we build up to this pinnacle where it's just us
took
left.
all that
And
to
you have
make
to
me who I
try
am.
all of those things
I think we'll just
to
fit
find
into
out.
who we already are.
Exactly.
Fit into us. Who we are.
But where do you fit on that same alphabet, Missy?
Well, me. No, it's my turn.
I've been waiting to hear this.
I am who I am.
Mhm.
I don't know. How to
Oh, don't
express-
even.
I mean, yes, I'm gay. I'm strictly dickly. I like what I like. I'm more like, I get mine high off of more emotion. I like my eyes more emotional versus being cartoon all the time.
I'm trying to figure out if that's a double entendre.
Oh, it's a double entendre. If it's Marcus, it's a double entendre. Automatically.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I just. I
So
like
Marcus
what I
is
like.
versatile.
I don't know how to describe what I like, but
Oh
I
no,
like-
Marcus is not versatile. He is not versatile. He has one job that he does well.
Okay.
One job.
I'm the headmaster.
He is not being constantly harpooned.
Okay.
Right, because most of the guys, when they see me, they just think one thing, and I'm like, well, do people really think I have a brain or something? You
I get that a lot,
Even
too.
the guys that are supposedly straight know
Mhm.
me a lot. Like, well, aren't you married? Don't you have a wife?
How
Is
dare
that
you?
your lover in the other room?
Mhm.
You know, and you know.
I don't mind ones with wives. Boyfriend cheaters I don't quite appreciate. But the
I
ones
don't
with
like them.
wives and kids,
Mhm.
I can
don't
play
like
with
them.
that and
I
then
don't
send it
like to
home.
deal with
Well-
the guy who has a wife and kids.
I want to throw this out here because I read something today that really threw me for a loop. And I really want to ask this question to the table. And I really think that I'm going to stop doing this because I realized that after listening to a lot of episodes that we did, bisexuals do not come out. And they are afraid to come out.
I
'Cause
think that it. Okay, well, let me explain. In Baton Rouge, all the females, they're all lesbians. That's all it is. That's all it is.
So lesbians, go to Baton Rouge.
It's the only place they can go and smell like themselves.
But most of the
Exactly.
guys-
Yeah.
Most of the guys
But-
there are probably bi, too.
But
Remember
I
the
think
guys?
that well, for the females, it's so fluid. You know,
Mhm.
it's just kind of like
Easy.
It's
Yeah,
so much
it's just-
easier
it's
for
just-
women.
It's just to be, yeah, I'm with him, but I slept with
You're
her,
using the
and
guys,
you know,
too.
it's just kind of because I mean, where I worked at, I mean, literally every female that worked there was either lesbian or had slept with each other.
Construction
Whether they
company?
identified- no, actually, it wasn't.
Where can we
But
go?
'cause I remember hearing rumors like this girl's dating this guy, and this other girl comes and goes, "Oh, I slept with her." I go, "Hold on, she's with." Okay, wait a second. What's going on? But I think for females, it's probably a lot more fluid, and I think, unfortunately, as this may be, it's more accepted for females. than it is for
Exactly, and
guys,
that's why
too.
it's
Yeah.
easier.
And
But that's why bis are so afraid of it.
Right, and I think
Because
that's
they
why,
get shit from gays and from straights.
right.
You know,
They
the
did-
gays are like, oh, they go all
I think-
American. You're
I'm gonna
stealing
be
our
honest.
men.
I think they get it worse from us.
Absolutely.
They get it worse.
They probably do.
Well, because
I
we
don't
don't
know,
have any
because-
right and shouldn't be putting them down for
But
it.
we're not straight,
Mhm.
so I mean, we don't. I mean, I think that there's this machismo that they have to live up to because they don't want them to know that they're bisexual.
Mhm.
You know,
You know,
I just
foreigners,
kind
I made a lot of foreigners in the hotel, and it's fashionable for them to be bisexual.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I had one guy say, "Well, this is my girlfriend, and this is my boyfriend over here." She was cool with it.
Mhm.
So I think it's mostly an American thing.
It really is.
I think
Americans are the
thing,
most uptight.
but those are the ones.
Oh, my goodness.
Cover.
damn Republicans.
But
It's the
In-
damn
in
log
an-
cabin ones.
in an age,
Don't even get started on that
where
one,
we
girl.
are, where toxic masculinity keeps coming into play, every heterosexual men, y'all need to get y'all shit together. Y'all just, oh my god, y'all just boring now.
So let me tell you the 5 powers. Is with its knowledge, its pussy, its ass, its money. I mean, these are the powers that's running up there.
That's
now.
just 4.
Because ass, well,
You left out the D in that
I mean,
alphabet.
ass is running close to pussy.
Okay.
And running all the powers.
And D.
That's what makes the world go round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Knowledge, money, pussy, ass.
Right.
I just don't ever think. I'm like Joel and I've talked about this in the past. I don't think I've ever met someone who says I'm not gay or straight. I'm bisexual. I'm like, oh hey, hello. I mean, I've never met anybody who admits that they're bisexual.
But how many times?
People
Which-
in Europe do.
not guys though. I
yeah.
would say. I mean,
Yeah,
guys.
you-
But how
I've
many?
met a few.
But how many times have we had? And I have been around a lot of gay men who we slam bisexual men hard.
Right.
We do. We slam, and we actually, and I don't like to say this, but maybe a little bit. I think our greatest frustration and anger is the fact that you look at us as nothing but sex, and you look at women as marriage and a future. And we get pissed off about that. And we keep hearing that when it comes to bi men, and they're usually just celebrities. every time we hear a bi man come out, it's usually a celebrity. The thing is that they all say the same thing. I love this person when I love that person, and I love that person when I love that person.
Right.
But on the ground level, that's not what we hear.
But gays normally, they normally come in contact with us on the end of one of those strings or amidst one of those female, spurts that they're on or whatever. Because, it comes in things. They don't generally practice both at the same time. It's generally, they can date a woman, and if they're dating this woman and it's working out, they don't see any reason to not be faithful to that relationship. And then they date a guy. Well, no. But that is being polyamorous. And unfaithful, but those aren't bi.
And you need to stop dating those guys, by the way.
That's a side conversation.
Yeah, that's a side conversation.
Right. And that's different than bi. And I think that's right. That's why they get the reputation they do. Is because guys who are cheaters, and guys who are in the closet use bi as a way to worm their way in. Whereas when you actually talk to somebody who has their head on straight about being bi and has really come to terms with their sexuality, I think they get the most flack because they're coming off of a girlfriend relationship or they're in a gay bar with their girlfriend and like, oh no, it's cool, I'm bi, and we automatically perceive them as one of those guys who's just cheating on his girlfriend. And he's out at the gay bar. But that's not
why should I give my boojon to him? He's already getting some.
Well, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't give that to anybody, but that's a cheater. That has nothing to do with him being
By the
bi.
way, I don't think they call it bujina anymore. I think they call it bussy.
I wish they
call it bussy.
Never, ever call it bussy, ever.
I'm just here giggling over bujina. Nope.
Bujina is way better.
Well, we're about to
Bussy
go
is
into the second break. But before we go, I want to just throw this out here. The thing of the matter is that I have dated bisexual men, and I have had a love-hate relationship with bisexuality. And I've had that love-hate relationship simply because I don't like the fact that you can be open about being with a woman, but you can't be open with being with a dude. And that's my only problem.
I think that's an okay thing to be frustrated about.
I think. But the problem with that is that if we think it's going away, like I said, I just literally read something where it's still hard, and I think it's harder for bi men to come out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Than it is for bi women.
They're always knocking at your door.
So
those are cheaters.
So we're gonna. Marcus is having some mic issues, but you can still hear him. Duct tape.
Testicle difficulties.
Duct tape fixes anything and changes genders. And that's how we're going to go out to break. So get yourself some duct tape if you need to change anything.
If you're having testicle difficulties,
Use
get you some duct tape.
It comes in all colors these days.
Don't do that, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't get the pink kind, because that stuff doesn't work.
They got pink duct tape. It exists. That's a thing.
Right. PSA, do not apply duct tape directly to the skin.
I go directly to the skin.
I don't think it is, girl. Take that off.
That's a Brazilian.
Ooh, no.
Anyway, take us out to break.
We'll be right back.
Oh, Lord. Had to get my wild ass out of that chair. Let's get back to this. We're back in the last half of this show.
Last third of the show.
Because the mathematician at the table told me it was the last third of the show.
He says, how do you explain that? I said, hockey. There are 3 halves to a hockey game.
Yeah, we used to represent each one of our personalities. They was more the reasonable.
So let's get into the last half. In the last half, I think we're going to really have a serious discussion on what has happened to us. We are now in a phase of, I feel like it's our generation versus your generation. And when I say your, I mean Pinky at the table. I feel like that we've come to a head where now we're having to deal with And I think our biggest thing for us is now we have to deal with the aspects of ageism in the gay community.
Yeah, I mean, we've covered past, present, and now here we are.
Yeah. So now we have to deal with
into
ageism.
the future.
And as the three men at the table who are older and are looking at their future and thinking,
I'm 36. Okay, 37.
okay, you know
A
what,
few years
bitch.
ago.
Somebody hand me a lighter because I'm gonna set this bitch on fire right now.
You don't have to. Lightning's about to strike any second.
Gonna
Step it back.
spin.
Slide away from the table.
I know.
Oh, yeah, part of that line.
But that's all right because
I'm sorry. Was that a knock at the door? That was Jesus saying, "Bitch, no."
She's going, bitch, please.
Bitch,
She's like, I want my sandals back. I know they're in your closet. 37, my ass.
13
I'm gonna get to if any of you out there know this. Tales of the City. It was episode 3.
Was it 3 or 4?
3 or 4. The infamous dinner party.
About the new Tales of the City, not
The new Tales of the
original,
City,
yeah.
not the old, but the
new
new
one's
Tales
on
of the
Netflix.
City.
Right.
Marvelous if you hadn't seen it.
Yes, you need to see
Definitely
it.
binge
Marvelous.
It is
It is
binge-worthy,
marvelous.
yes.
It is
Okay, I'm a
binge-worthy.
little vague on this Tales of the City.
Netflix. Do you
On
have Netflix?
Yeah.
Sweetie?
Everybody got Netflix.
It's like a trans coming of age story, and like it's a good bit of like, and I don't know how accurate to history it actually is, but it plays on the San Francisco and the gay culture there, and how this lady grows a big community in a
Okay, sweetie,
warm little home.
I'm going to ask you to go back and watch the original version,
I was
which is
fixing to
from
say that same
which is
thing.
I think from the 70s or 80s. I think it was from the
Was
80s,
it-
early 80s.
I'm not. I
It was on
can't remember.
PBS, and it
all
was
those
Yeah,
decades.
it
It's
is
so
on-
fuzzy.
yeah,
now.
it was in the 80s.
The 80s. I'm still.
It was in the 80s, and it was the most
amazing.
amazing thing that I'd ever watched as a young gay kid because it was on PBS
Right, it
of
was on
all
PBS.
things.
And it was inspired. You know, even now, for me, my generation, I was roughly close to the
Now,
same age you guys were when you guys saw yours.
There was like Tales of the City. Then there was like more Tales of the City. Then there was like further Tales of the City. And
Oh,
then,
I can't even wait.
and
Now
then
I'm super
there's-
excited.
And now there's just Tales of the City been remade, a modern version of.
And
Right.
by the way,
remade.
I'm saying Maupin did write the new episodes, and he did include everything that is going on, including a very interesting episode, which takes place where they go to a dinner party.
Well, we'll say who these two characters. One character is probably in his upper 40s, maybe lower 50s. The other character's in his 20s.
Yeah.
And they're a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of set the scene. So they're at a dinner party with all guys who are mostly in the upper 40s to lower 50s ages. And so this guy is the only guy who's in his 20s. So he's got a different perspective on life than what most of the other people at the party have.
I saw previews.
Yeah. So I think that, and I'm going to be like the third or the fourth episode. But anyway, it takes place at a dinner party. He's the only young person there, and all these other queens are, gay white men, and they're, I don't know, I would say
Late
low
50s,
maybe,
low 50s.
maybe even older than that. It's like
I would say, like mid
Yeah.
50s, lower 60s,
Yeah, in some
established, affluent,
yeah. So that's the history of that. Go ahead.
So
Sorry.
I felt like I was inspired by that episode to have this episode to talk about there was a lot of anger coming from those who were of the older generation when it came to the idea of the fact that we were going through the AIDS crisis. We were working hard. We were doing all this stuff to just survive. We had lost all the people that we could, all the artists, all the writers, all the things that, when I think about all the new movements that are, not movements, and I should not say movements, when I think about all the new things in the spectrum that we've been talking about, genderqueer, non-binary, the trans movement, everything else, we were just starting that.
Right.
We were literally our generation was literally just starting that through music and art and everything else. Androgyny was the non-binary movement at the time.
Right.
At the time. And there were so many things that were leading up to what you guys are doing now. But AIDS got in the way. And we literally had to fight to survive. And now we are watching you guys do all this stuff with...
Able to do all this stuff.
Able to do this stuff. And I think that there's a certain bit of jealousy, I think, when it comes to the fact that if AIDS hadn't come along...
We've been one too strong to fight.
I have one
feel like
thing to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
AIDS has not gone anywhere.
No.
HIV has not gone anywhere.
He's got it under
No.
control.
But the fact of the matter is that if AIDS hadn't come along,
Right.
I think we would be so much further than we are now. I
Yeah,
feel
we'd
like
be
that.
one too strong to fight.
I feel like transgendered issues, non-binary issues, all these issues, we would have worked out a long time
And
ago.
I think that's great.
If
I think
AIDS
that,
hadn't
that we
come
took-
along.
that pause actually ended up helping us, separate. Like, okay, this is a social issue, but this is an epidemic. This is people's lives we're talking about. So let's take a break from the social politics of this and how we identify, and let's get this under control because this is killing people.
Yeah.
So let's stop the social stuff and the fad stuff and the labels, and let's
Focus on
wrangle in
And-
and get under control. The
and I
thing
think
is that
that-
it's taking lives.
I think for Pinky, for us, I think that we need to really tell the fact that when we were young, how many funerals had you gone to, David?
Oh, Joel, I can't even. I have no idea.
I
have no idea.
I went to
There were weeks that I would go to 2, sometimes 3 a week.
I went to so
That's
many
terrible.
funerals.
I remember I went to grandma when she was at the hospital.
I went to so many. We went through so many funerals at the time. We went through so many. Every time any of us thought, for even just a moment, if a condom broke or if something.
I'll tell you how paranoid we were.
Mhm.
If we had a cough,
Mhm.
well, that's it. We
Yeah.
got
You okay?
as they
You
say,
okay?
we got
Yeah.
the AIDS. You know,
I went through a phase
myself.
myself, like with being hyper aware and like if you're displaying flu symptoms, because like
Right.
Yeah.
I had exes who had cheated on me, and
I once.
I had an ex who cheated on me knowing that he was cheating on me.
But here's the
with
thing.
somebody who was
Back then, I went camping and accidentally got poison ivy. And the first thing I thought, do I have sarcoma? I was freaking out
I remember when
for weeks.
I had my very first HIV test done, and this was the back of the time of false negatives and false positives.
Right.
As common as
And you had to wait.
Yeah, and you had to wait too. And I'd gone to have my first my regular doctor, and then I got pneumonia, and we were waiting for the results of the HIV test to come back. So I was admitted to the hospital because I had pneumonia so bad. And I was in isolation. I had an old glass thermometer, my own old glass thermometer. It didn't leave my room. Everything was treated as like if once it came into the room, it was contagious.
and I'm sure it felt phobic.
Yeah, it was totally.
And
totally.
I
And then
had-
they found
But
out that I
sterility
didn't have,
there is
right, and
the
then
thing
found
there.
out that the HIV test results came back while I was in the hospital. Then all of a sudden everything's okay.
Right.
I remember
Yeah,
one
it's
time
just-
I got strep
That's how it
throat.
was.
Right.
I got strep throat at 104 fever, and I went to the doctor. And I was at the doctor, and he took my temperature, and he goes, "You have 104 fever." And the first thing he said was, "Are you gay?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he goes, "You need to take an HIV test. I'm not gonna touch you."
Right.
And I literally had to go to Ben Taub to be confirmed with, "Oh, you just have strep throat."
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't have sex with anyone at the time because
Right.
I was still new.
But that was also the time.
But
we
the
thought
fact that I said that I was gay to a doctor, I was literally, he would not touch me.
But that was also there was a lot of misunderstanding back then too. You know, you could just
Was
kiss
he a
someone.
general
you
practitioner?
could just kiss someone and you could get
No,
HIV or whatever. So
So
Right.
it was
a general doctor.
Yeah, it was just a general doctor. So
Right.
we went through some hard, even just not being
Right.
HIV positive or any of that stuff. We literally going to the doctor was a nightmare.
But like if typhoid fever were to break out again, if the plague were to break out again, it would be treated with just as much vigilance and haste. It was something that even the medical field was unfamiliar with.
yeah,
And like if you think about it, if there was somebody who had Ebola and it was your kid sitting in the suite
But
next to him.
we already went through the Ebola thing, and by the way, it was not as bad as.
No, I
trust
know.
me.
Because it
When
wasn't
when that nurse in Dallas got Ebola, people freaked out for about 2 weeks, and then it was done.
because it wasn't
It
spreading
didn't
the same way
happen.
it was.
It didn't happen the same thing when AIDS came out.
Right, because it was
That's
spreading
not-
so fastly. The cases
Yeah.
were popping up all over the place, and they weren't able to control it because they can't control who you have sex with.
But Ebola didn't work the same way.
Exactly. Ebola, they could control. Who you have sex with and how often you have sex with them and what you do in the confines of a bedroom that they have no control over is something they can't control.
Okay, see, the thing is that I think
And
that you...
that's just why it spread so fast.
I think that you still don't have an understanding of what we went through. When you guys get HIV, you guys treat it like it's diabetes or
You
something.
guys.
Your generation.
Yeah, your generation treat it like it's
Not
diabetes
you
or something.
specifically.
It can be treated. It's fine. I see the
And
commercials all the time.
And that's what it is today, too.
Is that a
It's
fault of
manageable.
my generation?
No, that is not.
No.
That is the
I
help
don't-
from our
But anyway,
generation.
that's-
to-
And
This
you
is
know
a
how
help from-
seriously I
That's
take
a help from
that
our
and-
generation to get it to that point.
and my stance on
I think
PrEP.
that
You know my stance on that.
I think that, and if you look at there are studies out there conflicting, I will tell you that that say that HIV is on the rise again because people put too much reliance on PrEP and
They
I'm not
think they're
here.
bulletproof, and all the studies for
exactly.
that pill are only halfway through.
Exactly,
And that's
so,
what people are not understanding. You kids out there are reading this information on the internet and these studies, and you aren't taking into consideration, you aren't reading the fine print, you aren't reading the actual scientific documentation for the studies. They're not halfway through researching the drugs. They are restricting the data that they report at the midpoints. They're taking out factors like couples who have experienced infidelity is a factor that gets you bounced from the thing. It's like if you have something that you need to factor in, it's that. That's one huge thing.
Yeah, but the thing is that once again, you're not understanding something here. For your generation, even if they get HIV, they're going to be fine. For us, that was not the case.
I think what he's trying to say is, when back in the day when the only thing that was on the market that was AZT, and sometimes the effects of AZT were worse.
Were worse.
Yeah,
It killed you faster because it was so
we've
broad spectrum.
And technology has moved so far past AZT that nobody knows what that is anymore. That now they're HIV positive. Oh well, we'll just it's manageable because it's like diabetes or it's like asthma or whatever. It's something that you can control with
like
with
anything else
medicine.
that's been
And so
around
it's
for
not,
20,
but
30
I
years
think that,
in the medical field.
Exactly. And I think that the only thing that's really going to fix this is a vaccine. Honestly.
Abstinence and education, being an informed consumer.
I think they already have a cure for it. Just let
But
out
you
people's
sound
misery.
like the people that told us the same thing back then.
No.
Abstinence and this and that. No, that's
If you want
not.
to-
raging hormones of a teenager.
If you want, I was a teenager with raging hormones, and
Abstinence.
I abstained until I was almost 21.
I think
Okay,
that
so
for
I think that you're
for
not.
a lot of people that abstinence is one of those things that's just not an option.
And
it's just because
well, no.
And Charles, I
Because
think
we
you're
don't
not
teach
understanding.
self-control.
right. Well,
It's not an option. It's absolutely an option.
Sex education anymore. Thank you.
Right. Actual
Republicans.
sexual
Yeah.
And
education.
Charles, the thing is, I think this is. I guess I don't know why I'm rubbing
Again,
in my
thank you,
head.
Republicans.
Because I don't think like you think a millennial should, and you think you're addressing the things that I'm saying based on your impression of what a millennial thinks. I have the utmost respect for your generation, and those things I attribute nothing to what my day and age can have, except for the advance of science, which I'm not responsible for. You can't fault me for that. It's like chemo being a different procedure than it was 30 years ago.
True.
Cancer treatment being something that you used to not be able to live through, and you just made people comfortable
Okay,
for
but
as long as you could.
That's fine. That's fine on a scientific, medical level, but on a social level,
I think
how many? Let me ask you a question. How many funerals have you been to that your friends died?
This almost sounds like a whose dick is bigger. It's just
Well, right,
kinda-
I mean,
I don't think that it's.
No,
I don't think that it
it's-
doesn't really matter. I think that it
It's-
affects,
and
it
that's-
affects each person a little bit differently. The number you can't really quantify by the number of funerals that you've been to because that's not. I mean, that's.
But on a
not-
social level, how many? On a social level, did we just not say
how many overdose
times
funerals have you been to? Out of curiosity, it's the same thing. That's something that can't be treated.
What kind of funerals?
Overdose.
Oh.
That's something that can't be treated.
Probably
That the
more
medical field pays no attention to. That we call addiction a disease, but have absolutely no treatment except abstinence, abstaining from substance abuse is the only treatment that we put out there for that. I mean, there's methadone for those addicted to the extreme narcotics, but really there is no treatment for an addict. And I've been to several of those funerals. I've buried people younger than I am today who didn't get to, see their 21st birthday due to addiction. Be it their own addiction or somebody else's negligence.
That is so negligible. It's ridiculous.
It's something that you can't help.
It is so negligible.
Out of your control,
it's
just like
ridiculous.
the epidemic is out of my control.
Not when you're an entire community. Not when you're an entire community that literally has stories about how many times that they've had to go to funerals.
Hold on a second, though.
How many times that they've had to...
Are there not more addiction stories than there are? Does that span the gap between straight people?
No, I know. They are not the same.
And we are news than the other. I think one gets more news than the other.
That is not the same, and that is not.
Yeah.
And see, this is why I really do think that there is a disconnect between our generation and yours. It's the fact that you guys seem to think that AIDS is just like drug addiction. It
so
just
goes not what I said at all.
I feel like that's what you are saying.
No, you would
right
like
now.
that to be the comparison that I made.
No, that's not what I would like to be the comparison.
Back up for a second. So few people get AIDS these days.
Yeah, exactly.
It's HIV.
Is it because of PrEP? Because
it's not because of
a year and a half ago.
It's about the medicines that
it's about the medicines that they take for people who have HIV.
Less people get it. So you're saying it's completely due to the medications available.
No.
Not better safe practices by the individuals participating.
AIDS is like the natural progression of HIV based on the number of T cells that you have. When you get down below 200 T cells, then you consider you having AIDS. Nobody ever gets to that point anymore because it's just medicine has come so far.
Yeah, exactly.
So few people
once
die
you
of AIDS
have
now.
HIV,
right? It's manageable. It's completely manageable.
Yeah, it's completely manageable. But when we were your age, it wasn't manageable.
And who can you hold responsible for
right,
that?
but I think that...
We're not...
But that's why you should be angry.
I think that you're... I think what you're talking about is like people are dying of the opioids. I'm not even drunk. Opioids and all those, that people are overdosing or whatever. And I think that's...
Right.
I think that is like the epidemic of this time versus what we had was the epidemic of our time. I think that it's two different. I mean, I think they're comparable in a lot of different ways. I think am I understanding what you're trying to say?
Yes and no. I mean, and I'm not saying and we talked about struggles and whatnot last week. I'm not saying that one compares to the other. I'm saying that numbers, addiction, and that if you were to address it as something that you could treat medically or something that needs attention as far as treatment advancement. If you look at the entire history of human, as far as science and disease and treatment of these things spans, HIV is a blip on that map. Because opioid addiction and the deaths related to that, and I'm not saying one is worse than the other, I'm just saying that given the numbers they have been in existence, one is bigger than the other. I'm not saying it's okay that they didn't work as hard or, harder than they did. But I also can't say that they didn't work as hard as they were given the availability to work. Because really, if you don't know anything about a disease as it comes, and it's sick to say it, but until you know a disease as it comes full spectrum, the progression from AIDS to HIV, you have no idea how to treat that. And mitigate that and then prevent it. We still don't know exactly how it ties itself to our DNA.
But we know more than enough that we are just about on the verge of literally eradicating it.
Do we know why that is? Because of my generation or your generation? I mean, who has responsibility for that? It's just the fact that time has progressed.
Technology has progressed.
Not technology has progressed.
Right, exactly. Time.
And the fact of the matter
and us working the matter.
But I think that to what he's trying to say is, technology can be all that it is. Overdose is one of those things that you can't take a pill for. Am I right? I mean,
you can't.
In most cases.
And we don't even address it in modern medicine as something that is a front runner for people or for things that are killing people.
It's been around.
And it sucks, and it affects more people on a familial basis.
Nor do we address the fact that when it comes to when it came to AIDS at the time, this was a government that said We don't care.
That was
Let
Ronald
them
Reagan.
die.
Never said the word.
That's it. We don't care.
Ronald Reagan.
That's
never,
it.
Never
We
said
don't
the word
care.
AIDS.
Let them die off.
Let them die off. We don't care.
And guess
And
what?
we literally had
And I
to take
think
care
that-
of ourselves.
And I think that there's the argument
We
you
had
made-
to take care of
I think
ourselves.
that argument made today about the overdoses as well. You know, and I think there's a lot of states
Because we're
that are
pariahs.
the
Addictions
states
and
attorney
addicted
generals,
individuals, they're pariahs.
you know,
of-
states attorneys general are taking these big drug dealers, the drug makers to court because they're the ones that have actually perpetuated this disease of overdose. But I think that no amount of technology is going to create a pill that's going to stop overdose. That is one of those things.
It's a sheer will
Yeah,
thing.
That's it. And so, whereas people with HIV, they've got technology on their side. People who are overdosing, they don't have technology.
They're
on
looked
their
at
side.
like drug addicts.
Right, exactly. They don't understand.
They're not looked at
So
as
society
people
doesn't
who are
necessarily.
sick.
Yeah, society doesn't
They're not worried
understand
about that.
that addiction is a disease. They don't
If you look
understand
at outside of when it comes to addiction and drug overdose, when you look at outside of the American medical system, the fact of the matter is in most countries that have to deal with this, their overdose levels have dropped significantly because they realize people are going to do drugs. That's what they're going to do. So we're going to open up clinics that are going to help them use drugs safely.
Yeah.
Control it.
And
Yeah.
they're going to be medical personnel who are going to be there to make sure that they don't have an overdose.
And
That's how those levels have dropped.
what was the HIV
Except
AIDS
for in this country
epidemic
where
in America
where,
versus worldwide? then,
where-
to say that.
where
They're gonna have dick
it,
clinics.
where drug overdose, that's your problem. That's it. That's how we look at it in the United
They
States.
said the same thing.
So it's
to
not
drug
the
addicts.
same.
They continue to say the same thing
So it was
to
never
drug
the-
addicts as they used to
Yeah.
say
So
about
it's-
homosexuals and the fact that they were getting sick.
It was the gay cancer.
Yeah, I
which was
remember that.
never the same.
We were all just addicted to dick, and HIV and AIDS was addiction getting the better of us.
Yeah.
And we have since, as
But-
a people, decided that we are in control
but
of
there's
how
no,
that spreads.
But there's no community because there's no community in the drug section that has done what people in the HIV
and that is exactly what I've been saying.
have done.
That is what he
That
said.
is exactly.
Medical
There's-
science wouldn't have advanced unless we, who gave up on the government because the government said they weren't going to do that,
Exactly.
and they couldn't care less about us. We literally had to do
But
it for
society
ourselves.
stepped up and started giving a shit about homosexuals and the fact that they were dying. That's
I-
exactly what I've been saying.
It's not going to happen when it comes to drugs.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Because this society, good Lord, we're still arguing about marijuana. Marijuana, the most harmless drug on the planet, I guess, maybe, sometimes, depending on who you are. Sometimes marijuana.
And it's a psychological thing that is where the treatment becomes unreliable. The fact that we can
But do you realize
weed that
that
out.
drug
Because
addiction is part of human nature? It's been
Yeah.
around for thousands of
it's
years.
just like being addicted to
You're
gambling.
never going to get rid of drug addiction. You're never going to get rid of
Exactly,
it because
'cause
as
it's
long as there's
psychological.
human beings,
I think so too.
as long as there are human beings, human beings are going to be addicted to something.
If you can't be happy, you find a drug
That's gonna make
that
you-
lets you numb it.
Not
Synthetic
necessarily a drug.
happiness.
What-
Like
anything. Yeah,
Any
anything that
behavior.
can either numb that pain and that void and that whatever that you feel, or insert a happy feeling here.
So
And
I don't
it's-
like
and
the
it's
idea.
a psychological thing.
So I don't like the idea of AIDS and HIV being put into the same level because it's not the same
You're
level.
absolutely right. People
It
give
is
a shit
not the
about
same
people who
level.
have AIDS.
It is
I
not
agree,
the same level.
100%.
It is not the same thing.
You're right. I agree with you 100%.
So why would you even bring that up as an argument?
Well, because
Like,
you made my
he's-
point for me. People actually give a shit about people who have HIV and AIDS now.
Mm-hmm.
People still don't give a shit about addicts.
That is
And moving on to subjects.
Well, but I mean, that's the whole thing.
well.
But
that was the whole thing.
I don't
about,
think of it like a millennial
no.
thing.
I
I don't
think-
think that
I'm sorry.
I don't think that I have that to contend with. I am terrified. The sexual climate, from where I see it,
Mhm.
I think the sexual climate and not having that danger looming is way, way, way more dangerous. And we are setting ourselves up for another epidemic by giving these kids this bulletproof vest and telling them, oh, well, if it's 99.9%
Oh, a lot of
Sure,
yeah.
they'll just fucking run around and they're not fucking using
Do you
protection.
realize
They're
that
not asking the questions. Like, at the very fucking least, ask the fucking questions.
Well, the beautiful thing is that do you realize is that here's what we don't want you to go through. We don't want you to go through what we went through.
we didn't want you to go through it either.
And by the way,
I'm just saying, like, nobody wanted you guys to go through that. As a
we
gay
literally,
community, we
we
didn't want you guys
we lost all of our artists, writers, everything that could have made gay culture even better. We could have probably had gay marriage a long time ago if this epidemic hadn't shown up. But we had to spend so much time trying to fight this epidemic, we gave up a lot.
And you're mad at
And
my
now-
generation
Yeah,
because
we're mad.
you don't know who introduced
we're-
it. You don't know who to
everything
blame
is as
for
it
bringing
should
it
be.
in. Exactly.
Time is the way it's supposed to be.
Without suffering, there can be no
Move
art.
forward.
Mhm.
I was just saying, I don't know that there's a level of evolution
All
that happens.
of our
that
artists.
We lost a lot of those people to the AIDS crisis, and I don't want to I don't want to minimize that, but
At all.
I think it's just a certain evolution. That because these folks are gone, other people have stepped up.
Yeah, there are
And-
stepping stones
Right.
moving forward.
So I don't think that it's fair to say that gay marriage would have been legal eons ago because I think that's a societal thing, and I don't think that's quite the same thing on the same level.
There were a lot of breaks that took place, and to downplay every bit of stuff that has happened, and all of the people who have been there to make those things happen, and the people who put themselves out there to make those things occur. That's taking all of their hard work and saying, "Oh well, yeah, we could have done it if it hadn't been for AIDS anyway." I mean, you're not critical of that.
That's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying.
But it feels like that's what you're saying.
No,
You're saying
that
we could have had gay marriage decades ago.
Look,
it means that their hard
the fact
work,
of the matter is that
they
like
weren't
I
even
said,
of age to make the change.
no.
We could have.
What I'm saying is that when I have these conversations with younger people, and I keep hearing, "Oh, we're doing this and we're doing that," and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, "Well, we were going to do that, but then we had to fight against AIDS. That's what we had to fight against. We were already on the cusp of doing that. But then here comes AIDS, and we had to fight for survival.
I don't think those movements ever stopped.
That's what we had to do
And
that.
I think you're not giving fair enough credit to, we could walk and chew gum at the same time, as Congress likes to say.
Right, I mean,
we
they-
can fight more than one thing at one time. It is
Those
not
battles
all about-
didn't stop.
The lesbians were basically fighting for the marriages too, and we were also.
And they weren't
Yeah,
affected
exactly.
they weren't affected by the AIDS epidemic near as much as gay guys were. So we still had the lesbians who were still fighting
So we were
for
like
equality and
paired off with
marriage.
Yeah,
still
exactly.
Right.
And
But
gay people weren't the only
lesbians
people
were also fighting
HIV and AIDS
in
affected.
the AIDS fight. They were also fighting,
Yes, they
just
were.
like the trans community and everybody else, because it was a community. We were fighting together.
We were fighting
We were fighting together.
A lot of
because
battles.
we had to survive.
There was a lot
Right.
of people
We had
fighting
to
different
survive.
on
So
different
now
levels.
that we have survived, now I think honestly is that sometimes we look at it as, oh, if AIDS hadn't happened, we could have done this.
Okay, and I'm
We
going
could
to
have.
be
No.
I think a lot of things had
Yeah.
to happen.
Yeah,
For
and I agree.
a lot of
Crispin.
sacrifices had to be made.
I'm sorry. It was, what was his name? Crispin something or other. He went on a talk show for Donahue, and he said AIDS was the best thing that happened to the gay community. And
Because they kind of united them.
Well,
too.
controversial.
United
yes.
them.
At one
It-
time, they were
Yeah.
starting to separate.
when he said it,
Like we
it
are
was
now.
the most horrific thing
Back
at the
then, they were
plant
starting to
Right.
at the
separate.
time. But when you look at it now, it actually was.
Yeah.
Because it brought us together as a community. And
Yeah, because
now,
remember when we were younger, they were starting to separate. Like, well, no, you guys are not doing anything to helping out with this. They were sectioning us off.
yeah.
Like
But the minute-
trans
I re-
and,
well,
and-
I re-
Yeah,
and I remember-
exactly.
exactly.
Separating.
I
And I
feel
remember-
I
It's
feel
like
similar
brought together.
to where we are right now. Actually,
I remember
which is
too.
so
there
strange
was a
to
day
see
when
the
it was
huge
the
divide.
gay men versus the lesbians. It was like it was
Yeah,
like a
exactly.
battle.
Yeah,
Are we not right back
exactly.
there?
I
Oh
don't,
yeah.
Yeah.
Are we
Oh,
not
yeah.
right back there?
I don't feel like
Oh,
we are.
yes.
I feel like with the community is a little bit a lot
I-
more united now than we
I think
were
they are now. They
back
are. Yeah.
before.
What about
Back-
trans and gay?
Oh, I think
Now, that
trans
may
and
be-
gays
that
are.
may be an us versus them thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
I
I
mean-
don't necessarily. I mean, I
and it's when we have these
I
falling
don't
outs in our
like it,
community.
but it kind of. I mean,
I'm going to be
so-
honest.
So more acceptance towards trans people and understanding that there's what I've got a friend in Baton Rouge and she's a transgender female and she likes to go around saying not all females have vaginas. Or, not all males have dicks. And you've got to think about that whole thing for half a second to wrap your head around it, and then you introduce this part where you could be a transgender male and be gay, and then you're like, oh my gosh, you're just so much
exactly. There's so much stuff to wrap
I don't agree with saying
around.
that because I think those statements,
from a
like
transgender person,
being
so.
anatomically a female, requires you to have a vagina.
I don't think that it's a biological
But, like,
anatomical
I
thing.
think it's more of a mental.
Right, but
yeah.
saying somebody who
Someone once told me
saying
that-
not everybody who identifies as a female
Right.
has a vagina, I think is a little bit better and truer a statement.
Someone once
but
told
saying
me
not
that-
everyone who is a female has a vagina.
Someone once told me that sexual identity is between your ears, not between
Is
your
that
legs.
so?
And I
Is
think
that why
I
we?
think that's accurate.
So is that why we have literally divided it into cisgendered and transgendered when it comes to?
I just think it sucks that there's a divide at all. As someone who's got transgendered friends, I just think it sucks.
Right, it's
Yes,
an
but
identity. It's not
isn't-
a
But can I say
It's
this?
just a
a
person.
creed, it's not-
you
Yeah,
know, I
but-
don't- it's not even about like.
That's why
Can I say this?
That's why I say I am who I am.
actually,
Exactly.
I actually love the fact that we are now having this conversation because the
But
fact of the
Joel-
matter is that
I don't think
Joel,
they put
reached a resolution
on the last
people-
one.
Joel, what's missing from the table right now? A transgendered person. There's no equality in this. There's no fairness in this.
In this panel, I think the only thing that would be required of us is the openness to say that if there were a trans individual, they would be welcomed the same way you would anyone
Yeah,
else.
exactly.
For this to be equal.
And I know-
For there to be equality here at this table, one, we can't help that any more than your generation could help science at its day and age, any more than I can help science at my day and age, and any more than we can help that there's not a trans person at this table.
Right.
Well,
I mean,
and
Because there
think
just
that-
isn't.
can I say this? At
So
this,
if we were all to bring them in here and treat them the same as we would any of the
but
rest
at
of
this
us,
at the same
it's
table,
equal.
at the same table, we've been into the gay bar situation for years. We know transgender women at the gay bars. We've talked to them. We've met them. We've been friends with them. That kind of thing. And they've always been a part of our community. Transgender women
100%.
have always been a part of our community, and they always will remain a part of our community
Yes.
because that's who they are.
Right.
I think the thing is that I like the argument of the transgender
But
and
that's
the
what started the fight
cisgender
at the dinner table.
because one, it needs to happen when transgender women are being murdered left and right,
all over the place,
especially transgender women of color being murdered. We have to have this conversation. Mm-hmm. We honestly do have to have this conversation because they have to fight for their lives. They literally have to fight for their lives, just like we as gay men had to fight for our lives.
Well, and could any of us find ourselves in the exact same situation, in the wrong place at the wrong time?
Mhm.
Any of us
Yep.
could be in those shoes
Yep.
just because we're gay.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because I wear high heels.
Yeah, exactly.
I dare a motherfucker to try me walking down the street in heels because get a big fucking surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll
Heels
open
And I'm
your
not
head.
going to tell what that surprise is,
I'll
but
open
you don't
your
want that
guts Right
surprise.
there on the street.
You get a
Yeah,
heel,
but
get a heel
the
to
fact of the
head.
matter is that the fact of the matter is that like, yes, I do like the idea that the transgender conversation is happening because they have been on the underground for far too long, and they need to be out in the open.
They need us.
They need
stand
us
behind
Coming
to
up.
stand behind them because we do need to stand behind them. So
Because they stood behind us.
they stood behind us through
They
the whole
locked
thing.
arms with
And-
gay boys and gay
Mhm.
girls.
Yeah, exactly.
during all of the fights that we had to fight through history. And now it's their turn
Yeah, exactly.
to get theirs. And,
And
it's
they
our
need-
turn to lock arms with theirs.
and
say
they
to
need
the rest
to
of
get
everyone
there. So
trying to
I
fuck with
like
them.
the idea of I like the idea of the cisgendered and transgendered argument because I want transgendered men and women. We talk about women all the time, but we rarely talk about men. We rarely talk about transgender men. But the fact of the matter is that I like the idea of the transgender community now being in the fight because they need to be for
Right.
their survival.
Well, and the thing is they're in the fight. They're fighting. They can't help it. They're being attacked. It's our turn to get
Step
in
up.
the fight.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
Because it's time for us to get in the ring and show them that they have allies.
Yeah, exactly.
And if
We're
you
like
want
United
them,
States finna go
you
and
get
help
all
another
of
country
us.
out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want all of us, you leave them the fuck alone.
Word.
Mm-hmm.
Amen, girl.
And we might. And by the way,
I have a very activist
By the
spirit.
way-
Sorry, y'all.
Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing.
Let me. I think Randy and I have done this on so many episodes. It's ridiculous. The fact of the matter is that we are not transphobic in any way, shape, or form. What we're trying to do is get you into the fight, because if you don't get into the fight, you're going to lose.
Right.
And you have to get into the fight. And yes, David, I know you listened to a couple of episodes, and I know that you gave me a couple of phone calls and talked about this a couple of times. But the fact of the matter is that it's a fight for survival. I'm watching this I
remember when we used to be.
I do this
bashed, people
show
drive
every
down.
week, and I have to go online, and I have to read every story that I could possibly can. And yes, they have to be in the fight. They don't have a choice.
It's
just
a
like we didn't have a
forged by fire
choice
situation.
when it came to AIDS. We didn't have a choice. They don't have a choice. They have to be in this fight, because if they want to survive and be a part of society, that's what they have to do.
Lead press
Just like we did
That's right.
when
Wow.
AIDS came around.
And hold on. When you say just like we, I'm going to go ahead and say if you want something to understand how they bind to your community, every single trans individual from your day and age lived through AIDS and HIV and went to those same funerals.
Yep.
If you need something that says that they are just like you
Yep.
and deserve your respect and your admiration, and to validate their fight, they were there
Yep.
with all of y'all.
They were there.
They were friends with your friends. They were going to those same funerals.
Yep.
They were wearing a dress.
Yep.
Or they were wearing a suit.
Yep.
Wearing my
But
heels.
they lived through that same struggle.
Yep.
And and their trans friends were getting it and dying from it.
Mm-hmm.
They were not left out from that. So if you need something to bind it all together and you need a reason, that should be your reason.
Yeah, exactly.
What was her name that looked like? We used to see her at
6'11".
Yeah.
Oh,
What was
The
her
grandma.
name? Not grandma.
Yeah,
What
she
looked
was-
like?
Yes, I know who she was. She was always with the grandma.
God, I love
and I know,
6'11".
Yeah.
and
Those were the days.
I know.
Remember, I met her at the stars. Ooh, you lifted up
6'11" Hyde Park.
Those were the days.
One of the few
6'11".
places you could drink at 6 a.m.
So no,
Right.
mm-mm.
Not that you ever did or anything, right?
I was a night auditor, so 6 a.m. was my happy hour. I was getting off work, and I was going to George. I was going to 611.
This
I was getting my
show,
drink on at 6 a.m.
this show is about helping gay men learn their community, learn who they are, and what they can do more than anything else.
That you motherfuckers are not alone.
We are not alone. We go through racism, we go through sexism, we go through transphobia, we go through all this stuff. And there's a lot of stuff in our community that is awful and that we need to fix.
I used to wonder, how's somebody going to be gay and they make prejudice against their own people?
Yeah,
Their
exactly.
own gay people.
And
You'd
that
be
is
Even
surprised.
possible.
And
That's
just
a
like
double.
family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just like, straight people are prejudiced against gay people, but how can gay people be
Marcus,
prejudiced against
Straight
their
people
own?
are prejudiced against other straight people. People who are
Oh,
polyamorous.
yes, right. Wait.
People who are swingers. Who are straight.
I'm
Marcus,
just
how many
swingers.
There are
Marcus, how
straight
many
people against
times
those people.
Yeah.
how many times have you and I been in the gay community and had to deal with issues from white gay men?
Well, they were saying it because we wouldn't active. Most of them weren't active in the That's what some of them say. Well, you guys not active in the this and that. You guys don't go to gay parades. You guys just stay neutral.
Mm-hmm.
When that black club was there, I said, well, no, a lot of us do. Not a lot of us, but a small amount of us did.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
A representative
thing that they had,
of
yeah.
the portion that it was.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
well, there are only so many of you guys
Mhm.
who come to that. So what's
There
yours?
was a lot of, most of them were like on the DL.
Well, right.
Back
Back
But
then, no that.
representative
I know I did
of,
have
of
them.
their,
So now that we're
Perspective
we're living
relative.
in the future and we're living in a new world,
Well, yeah, stuff has changed now.
we now can do that.
But that
now
was some of the things they would say.
Now
You guys
I'm
not
loving
out
the
there helping
idea
us out.
of gays and lesbians coming out all around the world and in places where they can't come out, and they are fighting to come out.
right.
They are fighting to come out, and
I'm
it is a
coming out.
beautiful thing.
And it all starts out with one place
Mhm.
where it's okay to do that.
San Francisco.
Right. or Houston. I mean,
Montrose.
Montrose too.
I couldn't believe Houston is the third biggest city in the nation.
Oh.
I was at DSW picking up the beautiful heels that I did earlier, and they have Pride. The whole store is Pride ridden, and they've got
We did that on my
big companies.
did it on the cafe
making
of my
shoes
door.
that
my
are
job.
Nike. Converse has always been a huge advocate for Pride, and while they do not put them out for long enough, I think because I never have enough money during Pride to buy them, but they have an array of Pride centric shoes. Under Armour, recently jumped on there.
I love Under Armour.
And they run a Pride line for a very limited amount of time. And, people argue about commercialism and I don't like this and that about it. But it's like those brands and
Promote.
it promotes and it says, okay, if you're a douchey jock who fucking likes to beat down on everybody, well, guess what? You fucking wear Under Armour. They don't have a fucking problem with me. So do you have a problem with Under Armour? Maybe you should start buying C9 or something else.
Fruit of Looms.
Exactly.
Who wears Fruit of Looms anymore?
Because we're an undeniable force. And
Want to be reckoned with.
Exactly. If you're silly, quit fucking with us. Because we are a force to be reckoned with. And we're not going to fucking go anywhere.
Be part of the crowd so bad.
Exactly.
It's always the ones that give us a hard time are the ones that basically undercover.
Yeah.
Because most of the straight guys really don't
And
even care.
and that's very Freudian and very Psych 101 is to kind of abuse in somebody else attributes of yourself that you don't appreciate.
Yep, that's right.
And it's because they don't know any other way. It's like, I said this last week about the transphobia thing. It's like, and I tell the story about somebody telling me well, I don't know how to bring you around my family. My nephews and my nieces, they're real young. I don't want to make it a thing. It's like,
want to be impressionable
then don't make it a thing.
Make it a thing.
Kids don't know.
They see it anyway on the TV. They see it when they go out.
Kids are taught to hate. Hate is taught.
Right.
And intolerance is taught. If you don't want to make it a thing, don't make it a thing.
Can I tell a little?
Everybody else in the room, and the kid is not going to know the difference.
Can I tell a little story that Marcus told me one time?
Here we go. Back down.
It was when he was dating someone for a little bit, and they went to a pool party. And at the
why is the
yes, it was a pool party, and Marcus and his friends showed up. And one of the kids in the pool said, "Hey, there's Uncle Marcus. There's Uncle Marcus,
which is great,
and his friend.
Is
that his husband?
His boyfriend.
Is that his boyfriend?" And one of the kids said, "Yes, that's his boyfriend." And they went right back to swimming. And Marcus told that story, and I'm like, "See, Marcus, kids don't care.
Boom. Hate is taught.
They don't
and
care.
all of them are straight and have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not a thing. If you don't make it a thing, it won't be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hate is taught.
Hate
It
is
is like
taught.
the air we
But
breathe.
at the fact of the matter is that when you told me that story, I went, first of all, that man was terrible for you. That man was terrible for you.
That's what I'm more concerned about.
Secondly,
What they showed up
I
wearing.
like the fact that there is. Here's what I love. I love the fact that there is a future for you when it comes to the fact that when you bring. No, I'm sorry. It was that meant.
It made me giggle because it was just so left open.
Mm-hmm.
After hearing the boyfriend thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is a future for you, Marcus. Go on. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, making cookies in a little skirt or something.
And here's what I would.
Mini.
Here is Charles. Here's what I would like to tell the two most important people in my life that I love more than anything else. Oh, this show is going to get some great ratings.
Thank God I am not drinking hard liquor.
This show is going to get some great ratings.
You've been sitting at our table.
I've been babying the first one.
That's the same thing. I'm.
But it is hard liquor, right?
Drive,
I have
yeah.
to drive.
So here's the thing
We
that
don't do
I've
liquor here.
wanted to tell the two most important people in my life, which is Marcus and David. David, you are the most amazing person I've ever met.
Okay,
You
he's
have-
taking notes again. Just kind of.
You have shown me things. You've taken me to places that I've never been to. You've allowed me to be myself 100%. 100%. And I feel like that when you do settle down with someone, it's going to be someone great. It's going to be someone who loves you the way that I love you. You're an amazing person. You are an incredible, amazing person. By the way, if you're looking for a guy to, he is
Knuckle with.
currently,
Cuddle up.
he is currently,
That's what I like.
he is currently looking for a new position in certain things, which I hope he goes into either politics or something. Because I have this thing with Dave. David and I know this. I have this thing where he can do a lot with all the skills that he has. He can do a lot.
Okay, let's just. He's
I was
not
curious,
talking.
what kind of
He's
skill?
not talking. No,
Top, bottom,
that's not what he is just talking
remote
about.
control.
Oh, okay, you need
No.
more Pacific.
No.
BDSM.
I'm about to be jobless.
No.
Oh.
Never.
No, never. The skills that this person has will take him to so many different levels, and he can do literally anything. And I want to support him in that. I'm going to be honest. Please don't go into the restaurant business. I want you to take your skills and do them in other
I say more
ways.
political.
I said the same thing. Thank you, Marcus. I said the same thing. You belong
I
in
think he ought to be
politics
up there with
somewhere.
The gay community. He'd do
Yes,
a great
definitely.
advocate.
Your skills would be so useful in the gay community, and you could make some money doing the
Do
same
you want to
thing.
know where his generation has a huge advantage over mine when it comes to that?
Where's that?
All of his debauchery and all of his everything could be burned in a shoebox. Mine is all over the internet.
That's true.
Forever.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
He stands a chance. Me, not so much. There are pictures
Oh no, you'll be fine,
on
sweetie.
the internet.
Sweetie, your generation, a few years from now, that'll be a different thing. Don't worry
Be
about
like,
that.
isn't
And
that
we
your
have to justify it.
isn't
Yeah.
that your butt
No,
pressed
don't
against
worry
the
about
glass
that.
in that shower, Charles? Like, maybe.
Charles, let me tell you something. Charles, let me tell you something about your generation because I spend a lot of time on the internet. I have to do this show, so
Have
I
you
spend a
seen my
lot
pictures?
I spend a lot of time on the internet.
Semi-centerfolds.
If there's Charles, if there's anything, you are going to be either a fabulous carpenter who has these amazing skills that you can offer. You have so many skills to offer. It's
When that's
ridiculous.
why I apply Maker.
You have so many skills. It's ridiculous. You will be fine. Trust me. You will be. Don't let the internet fool you.
Oh no,
Trust
I just
me.
can't get into politics. That's
You'll
all.
be fine.
Everything else is good. Everything
And
else, all of those
Marcus.
pictures makes the better.
Marcus,
Uh,
do you realize that you are going to find the thing that we have talked about this years ago. You're going to find your husband. You want to be married. You want to have the life. You deserve that. By the way, you do deserve that.
well, you know, they have these new little dummies now that lay in your beds.
Does it talk?
It does not talk.
Perfect.
See, there you go.
And
$5,000.
by the way,
Worth every penny.
And by the way, Charles, this is what my friends do. Marcus, you are going to find, you were gone for several years, and I realize that in those years, you were probably trying to figure out what you were trying to do.
Several years.
Yeah, you were gone for 5 or 6 years. So I know in those years, you were trying to figure out what you were trying to do. You were trying to figure out yourself. Work through that, girl. You're going to find it. You are going to find it. You weren't around for several years, and I know why. You needed to do you. You're going to find it. You're gonna get the things that you want. You're going to settle down. You're going to get a husband. You're going to do that thing because you needed that time to do that. I understand. I completely understand. And I love you. We're family. I understand. That's what you had to do. As far as I'm concerned, I'm doing my podcast. I'm doing all the things that I want to do. And I have my family back. I have you and I have David and this guy.
God. Wow.
As well as Randy and Chris.
There's no
But
other way
the
to say
fact
it.
of the matter is that I got my thing. You're gonna find your you're gonna find your thing, and you're gonna do it. because you
Miss
wanted
Randy.
to do it. And I know that you had to maybe spend some time away to do it.
Do what you want to do.
I know you had to spend some time away to do it, and I'm not mad at you for it.
Why is it always the young guys that are attracted to me? I can never find anybody.
You know
my
what?
age.
Shut the fuck up.
Well, most of them were around.
You know what, Marcus?
then.
Why don't you shut the fuck up and accept what's going to happen and let it happen?
I've always-
I am
My
so
age.
tired. You know what?
I've always found that a new city is good for that.
I'm going to shut this down right now.
Reinventing yourself.
I'm going to shut this down right now. I'm going to shut this down right now because I'm going to tell Marcus off for one time and one time only, and I'm going to do it on the air, and it's going to be in prosperity.
Is there a lawyer out there?
Do what you fucking wanted to do when you wanted to do it. You're going to find the thing that you want and do it. If you didn't think that I was not going to help you with that, if you had to step away for a few years to do it, I get it. I understand it. It's fine. Just do you. Find what you want and be happy. Just be happy. Stop giving me all this bullshit spiritual crap and just do you. For the first time in your life, do you.
Speaking as the
I can
now
look at
generation-
David and I know he's going to be fine. Charles is a part of my shows already. I'm good. I'm doing my thing.
Charles gonna be in politics.
I'm doing my thing.
Those
You need to
Republicans
do
sure
your
hope I
thing.
don't.
You spend a lot of time away from me. You better do your thing. And if you
Carpenter,
don't
huh?
do it,
What now?
I will
Carpenter,
be
yeah.
super disappointed if you
Ish, yeah.
didn't.
Maker. I do a little bit of everything. But, like, speaking from now's generation and, like, taking advantage of the things that you were talking about earlier, the time in a person's life where not giving a fuck what anybody else thinks, having any effect on how you live your day-to-day life, has not become something that you have to wait for retirement to do.
No.
And I think that people are just stuck on like, okay, well I have to do, quote unquote, what the man and what's expected of me and all of these things and whatnot. And like there are really ways to get around doing that, and I am, the epitome of that. Because I look at I was going into the Marine Corps, I was gonna have a wife and kids and all of that and a career in law.
Charles, I'm going to
coming
have
out of high
sex with
school.
you right now.
I was
It's going into politics. You can't.
I was all set up for legal admin, studying the Marine, the military code or military code justice.
Believe it or not, when we were all young, that was the quote unquote thing to do. Have kids, wife, and do what you're supposed
And
to do.
people just get stuck in that, and they don't understand that it's changed, and it's just like not having to hide other things about your identity. The being who you are and being a blue hair and saying whatever the fuck you want is something no longer exclusive to the 60-somethings who no longer have to keep a job. They don't have to, and that's what that is. That's what getting to that age and retiring is all about. Is like I don't have to worry about if this gets back to my boss or any of my fucking friends because none of them pay my bill. My house is paid off. My car is paid off. I don't have to worry about any of that shit. So I'm just going to be me, and it no longer is exclusive rights to seniors who are retired.
David, Marcus, and I guess I'll say Charles
I'm Charles now.
It was Pinky.
in politics.
and Pinky.
Charles and his pinky politics.
We're free. Do what you want to do.
Okay.
You are supported. You are loved.
All right.
Do what you want.
Regardless. Exactly.
Oh, David White is yawning.
I'm sorry. I'm 50 plus. I'm 50 years old.
Which is it? Are you 50 or
I'm
50 plus?
I'll be 51 in December.
I'm 38.
And you were 37 a few minutes ago.
You were
37 and a half.
38
Oh,
17 minutes
I was
ago.
going to
and a
say, if I
half.
show 73, she'll be
60?
at the rate that's
I
going.
think this bitch might be older than we are, but who knows? Who knows?
I've got an old soul, and I think that's where the disconnect, and that's where kind of some of our tension comes from, Joel, is because I don't have those same stance and carefree, caution to the wind, and like, oh, it's all just been laid before me, so let me just step on these stones and
Now,
not appreciate any of them.
Charles, can I tell you this? It's not that. It's just the fact that I want to let go of some anger. I don't I want to be carefree and be able to not worry about that stuff anymore.
You know what's awesome for that? And the best fucking workout you've ever gotten in your life, kickboxing. Full body. And you get to hit something. Ridiculous workout. Super good for getting anger and aggression out.
Age.
Mm-hmm. We might.
We break something, we go down.
Oh, that's true.
It takes us a while to
Maybe
heal.
less high
This is a
kicks.
while to heal. Yes.
Or water aerobics.
Charles, Charles, can I tell you this? And I'm looking at Charles right now.
He is looking dead at me, y'all.
Charles, you know the best workout.
Or something happened to you.
Oh, I did that in my 20s. That's how I kept
You know
abs
the
in my
best
20s.
workout I got was unloading a truck and trying to figure out how to
Oh.
put stuff into a storage unit. That was the best workout I ever got.
We were
Trying to put stuff into a
totally
storage
on a different
unit
page there.
because I had to work out my brain and my muscles, and I was like super tired.
Right? That's
Super
exhaustion.
tired.
I hired
And
people.
trying to put everything to make
I
sure
will
that
next time.
and having to look at my friend and go, you know, that futon that you loved
Moving people.
has got to go.
Oh my god, moving with
Got
another
rid of the
person.
futon?
Like you've never wanted to just
He had to let
smack
the fu-
somebody
he had to let the
so
futon-
much in your
he had to
life,
let
like
the
ever.
futon
You
go.
could
Nice
love this person
futon.
so much.
He had to let the futon go.
They
That's-
don't-
Strapped it to the top
They
of the
don't
truck.
appreciate your things the way that you appreciate them.
Yeah, I know.
And you know, you don't see the love that they have for this thing,
Mhm.
and like both people involved in this want to smack each other so bad,
I'm not gonna lie.
and it's
I
like
just- I
that's
was
the point of the
yesterday.
day where it's
You
like,
should have Velcroed
but
the
I saw the future. I saw.
futon to the top of the truck.
You know, the future was the
yard
fact that
sale.
you know the future was when he picked up flooring for his house. That was the future. He picked up flooring for this house, and I'm like, oh my god, that's the future.
Is it herringbone compatible?
No, it is. No, it's
So
vinyl
it's square
flooring,
tile.
and it's amazing. It yes.
Square tile?
Mm,
Then it is herringbone compatible.
I don't.
it is.
Is
Yeah,
it? I don't,
yeah, it is.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
It
is.
I don't think it would look good herringbone though. I don't think it
Mhm.
would look good.
Yeah, and then it may not be.
Mm.
I'm all about making things difficult. Y'all should. I'm gonna have y'all over at the house when it's under some cleaning and work right now. But like,
Mhm.
we'll have to have a pool party and bring everybody over, and you guys can
Well, I
see
can't wait to do a pool party. Can we do a pool
what
party?
kind of difficulty
Yeah,
goes
moo-moos.
into like.
I need a moo.
I love to make things difficult from a design standpoint.
Mhm.
I'm very Frank Lloyd Wright in that
Mm-hmm.
stance.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just because it just is right, and you should do it right the first time, and that's just the fucking way that you should do it is right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nothing wrong with that.
Not necessarily Frank Lloyd Wright, but right. It's
Or everything in this
Coincidence.
place in this space is everything.
indeed. I can't wait to see what y'all have to say about it, because I mean, it really is just.
We're not judging. We just accept.
Oh, I want y'all to judge. I want y'all to judge. Because there's no way it goes. There's no way it goes sideways.
Mm-hmm.
We
really
just
pulled
we
out all
just
the
are
stops.
who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Critical gaze, who I can't wait to hear.
Well, I would like to shut down the show because it needs to be shut down because I'm looking at David, who is like, oh Lord, I
Okay.
can't.
I'm tired.
Well, we had
He's
we don't.
awake.
I'm still awake.
I know he had a long, tiring
Hard.
experience from
I
moving
had to
from,
close down a restaurant
and Marcus had to close
By
down a
myself.
restaurant,
and
and
prep.
we have to end this because actually we
It's
do.
time, girl.
Charles, it's time. We have to.
It's time.
Yeah, we have to end,
It's time
end
to
this.
say stick a fork in it.
Mhm.
Yep.
We
It's
have to stick
done.
a fork in it, and I would like to say that thank you, guys, for showing up. This is the most fun
Everyone
I've ever
grab
had.
a glass. Let's cheers to
Yes,
this.
What's left?
cheers to this.
You
Yeah.
hear it cling cling?
Yeah, here's to
Mhm.
those that wish us well. Those that
Mhm.
don't can go to hell.
Oh my God! Can we say hell on the mic?
I'm
Randy's
missing
not
everything
here.
else.
By the way, may I throw this here? Here's the thing. I actually had a drag episode scheduled for next week, but
You're doing drag?
no.
Oh,
I actually had a drag episode scheduled for next week, but
Good thing it's radio.
Jason couldn't make it because his friend is in a very precarious situation, so we can't do that. So I'm asking if maybe Marcus and
I'm not doing
David
drag.
on the
I'm not doing drag either.
26th.
Girl.
No, not
I have no duct tape.
No,
no.
ma'am.
We're not
I
doing
have some.
drag.
I don't do. I'm 50 years old.
I'm hoping that we're going to have an episode,
Put you on your ass.
an episode next week where Randy will be here.
I miss Miss Randy.
And
Hey, girl.
Holla.
So it'll be let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 half centuries versus.
Oh God! Oh God!
That makes 2 centuries
That's
versus less
200
than half
years.
a century.
Oh,
Okay.
good Lord. Let's end this show.
I can take it.
Let's end this show by saying,
Oh my God.
Hey, Pinky. Hey, Pinky, you and I are the only two on this episode that are a part of this show. So what do we do here? How do we end this show? We have guest hosts here, so we are the main people on this show.
We do. And we want to thank you guys for coming.
We do
Thanks
want
for
to thank
inviting
you
us.
guys for coming.
I do have 2 sponsors of today's episode to
Okay.
mention. I've got a CV Photography 0 on Instagram.
Are they paying for this?
A friend of mine, yes. It's the Hooch and Heels sponsor
Mm-hmm.
of today's show. The new heels that I'm rocking and the
Those some nice heels.
the boots
those.
that
They are
Were
fantastic.
they
deals,
4-inch
by the
heels
way.
or 6
the
inch?
Hooch I'm drinking.
Mhm.
I think there's 6. We're gonna
You
post
can wear
pictures on the
6?
Instagram, y'all.
Oh, by the way, he is going to take pictures of us.
Yeah, we're gonna get pictures of everybody, so you guys
Yeah.
can associate names with faces. It always helps me.
Yeah,
I'm a
so
vis-
before
I'm a
you guys
visual
go,
person.
we're going to take pictures.
But yeah, that's Carlos Villegas, close friend of mine, sponsoring the Hooch that I'm drinking, a little gold tequila. Check him out on Instagram, CV Photography 0 on Instagram, and then Heels, sponsored by Rex Marks Publications.
By the way, if you have any questions, answers, or anything else, look for us once again. Joel and Randy's Texas Tea on Facebook. Joel and Randy's Show on. I'm sorry. Twitter.
Sorry, she was having a
And
half-century
Joel and
moment.
Randy Show
Joel
one
moment.
on Instagram. So listen to our show. We'll see you later. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Peace and hair grease.
Mm-hmm. Before I cut off the show, everybody introduce yourselves. Marcus.
I'm Marcus.
David.
David,
Why? Oh, let's everybody sing the
Oh,
song.
that's everybody doing.
Oh God.
David, why?
I'm the only person that has my own song intro.
I'm Pinky _MAU5_85 on Instagram. If you have any questions for me or want to see what's happening with my hair or my heels or my hooch,
We have pictures.
but yeah, if you ain't gonna be good at it.
Bye, guys.
Ooh, word.